All right, guys. Hey, Ronin Man here. Today we're going to talk about what you need to know before dating a bottle girl. So I dated a bottle girl in Vegas, and I learned a lot about the whole nightclub situation. At the time, I didn't know anything about it. So when I started, because I don't live in the States, it was something that was shocking to me. I had no idea what I was getting into. But as I got farther into it, it was like pretty interesting situation, and it was very difficult for me to figure out the situation and get any information. So we got John here on the line, and John also has a kind of a similar story. And also the world of bottle girls in Vegas and New York and Los Angeles actually have a big connection with Japan you might not be aware of. How you doing, John?
Hey, how's it going there? Been
It's
a
good.
while.
Good,
Yeah,
yeah. Definitely good.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
yeah,
Um,
man.
this is a great topic because, I barely knew what the term meant, bottle girl, because, I'm from Canada, one thing, and the other thing, I've been in Japan so long, what the hell is this, right? So, I was thinking, this has gotta be Kyabakura or Mizushobai or something like that.
Right. And so that's the thing is that a lot of guys don't know the history. I got a picture of some bottle girls here. And so if you go to a nightclub in Los Angeles, obviously if you live in the States and you go out a lot, you're going to know what we're talking about. For me, it's different because I didn't know. I literally knew nothing about America when it comes to like being an adult because I had never lived here as an adult. So it was, for me, it was all very shocking. So if you're not from the States, if you don't know about bottle girls, or if you do know and you have a lot of experience, this is a great episode for you because we want your input in down below because there's going to be a lot of interesting things to talk about. And the different types of girls, the experiences that girls
Hmm.
have, really affects you a lot as
Lost
a guy,
connection here.
you know. And you're, but, and once I say this before we start, is you're shamed into not mentioning it. So what you'll hear if you have a preference for different types of girls. So you might like a certain kind of girl. You're going to hear that you're insecure if you don't accept everything that girls do in different industries, right? So it's like automatically you're either secure or insecure, right? The thing is that doesn't begin to cover the reality of complicated life and love, right? So you might be very comfortable with certain things and you might be uncomfortable with other things. Or, obviously, John, like you had the experience of dating a porn star. So, I mean, obviously that goes really deep and
Hmm.
had like huge things that just you didn't know. And I guess this is one thing is that we started with talking about this, me and John, we were talking about omerta because the information that you get from people who work in industries where they're doing things that are not uh, normal or good for a relationship is that you don't have any information. So you're basically deceived from the beginning about the girl's history and what she
Oh,
does
yeah.
for work. So that's the thing that puts you on edge. So it's not about insecurity or security because if you know the whole situation, like if you know what I mean, then it's like then it might be an issue like that. But the problem is the deceit and the lack of information, where you're trying to figure it out. You're trying to figure out where this girl's at, and you just can't do it. Like you don't have the tools. No one is giving you the tools to understand what's really going on. So you tend to either think the worst or you think it's nothing. You can't
Hmm.
quite put it together. And even in the industry, right, you're going to have a big difference in the variety of girls who go way over the line and the girls who
Yeah,
don't go over the line. But
yeah,
you, as a guy, looking at the various women out there, you just see the same smile, you see the same red dress. You don't know, and you have no way of knowing what is true and what is not. And the girl's going through a lot of stuff. She is in an industry that is uncomfortable and weird, and things are happening fast. And there's a lot of, I mean, let's just face it. In any bar, there's going to be a lot of sexual assault. There's going to be a lot of unwanted sexual advances. There's going to be a lot of money thrown around that complicates things. There's going to be a lot of fame, you know? Like I had a girlfriend back in the day, and she was basically in love with any famous person. So yeah, she was like super wet for any famous person. So we went to see Pete Sampras play at the Japan Open, and she was like super. I could tell she was super when he walked by us. You know, we waited for him to leave at the end. She was ready. She would have gone with him in 2 seconds, right? She was like,
Mm-hmm.
Pete Sampras was a huge hero of hers. And later, she got into a situation where one of the most famous stars in Hollywood was trying to actually take her away from me. And she had a very difficult time. And finally, she broke free of the whole kind of celebrity worship after I told her she can go with the guy. I wasn't really that worried about it. But she was like mesmerized by famous people. So keep in mind that you have so many factors going on. You have alcohol, you have drugs, you have money, you have clubs, you have club owners, you have club promoters, you have girls, you have hometown girls, you have girls with big dreams, you have girls with bad histories, you have girls with shame. You know, you have like other girls who are, there's just all these factors. And then you have like something that you wouldn't even guess, but most clubs, like for example, the Light Group in Vegas, they have an NDA. So you got to sign that, and you legally can't talk about certain things.
That's omerta.
That's omerta, right? So
Yeah.
talk about that. What you know, anything about what I just said there?
Well, you know, I see a lot of parallels, and you know, like we were talking about this back and forth for a little bit, and you know, I was convinced this was definitely origins in Japan because you know this takes me back to when I got involved with this lady that I was involved with, right? Yeah.
Yeah, here we go. The origins of bottle service, the scintillating backstory to club flashiness. And you're absolutely right, John. It goes tell us about this. What is the process that happened to the
Well, I
bottle?
think what it started during the occupation, right? And then these guys would get leave, and then they would buy a bottle and they'd throw it in a locker or something, and you know.
Okay, so let me just say this to the guys. So basically, the bottle girl industry in Vegas and Los Angeles and New York, the origins are from Japan. So people understand that. So it came from Japan. Both of us, John and I, both speak Japanese. Both of us live in Japan. I dated girls who were in the industry. It's called Mizu Shobai, and it means Mizu is water, Shobai is business. So it's the water business.
Yeah, and there's a reason for that too, because
yeah, the water business is you're selling just water. I mean, it's
no.
No, but I just
I
want to say,
beg to differ. I beg to differ.
let
I
me,
mean, they could be that. It
let me
could be
just say
that,
my
but
take. Let me say my take.
okay.
Is that you're selling something
Yeah, okay. Yeah, okay.
of no value, okay, but you're getting a lot of money. So whenever you sell something of no value for a lot of money, things get really complicated really fast because nobody understands what's really being bought. So for example, if I go to the store, the liquor store, I go to Liquor Barn, and I buy a bottle of scotch, it's going to cost me $20, right?
Right.
Now, if I go to Vegas, all of a sudden, a bottle of champagne is going to be, let's say, 300, 1,000. You know, it's going to be a lot more money, but I'm getting the same. I'm getting the same. Let's just say water, the same drink for a lot higher price. But what goes along with that? That's what makes it like super difficult to understand. Like that's what you're selling something of very little value for a lot of money. This is where all the complications. So if it was clear, so for example, if it was clear, like for example, you're hiring a model and you tell her, we're going to do a modeling shoot. Here's the clothes you have to wear. Here's the time you have to be here. Here's the amount of pictures we're taking. Here's the time it's going to take you. Here's what is going to happen afterwards with the pictures. Do you agree with all this stuff? And then she says yes or no, right? As a model. And the same with an actress. I mean, of course, you might have to reshoot the movie because something might happen with the actor. Anything can happen. But essentially, it's a very clear agreement what you're doing, right? The thing that makes the Mizu Shobai business or the bottle business in Vegas, to me, makes it so dangerous is that there are no lines. So everything's happening at once. A lot of money is being taken for a very little product. And there's a lot of expectations. There's a lot of like things under the surface. There's a lot of human nature going on. And there's a lot of secrets. And so naturally, it's difficult to understand. And as a guy, you might and then also you're kind of challenged, like, hey, are you a man? Can you handle this? And there's this kind of stuff, right? Which
Mm.
is not really the question, right? It's not, the question is not, can you handle it? You don't even know what you're handling. Like,
Yeah.
can I handle what? Like, what exactly is going on? Like, what exactly happens in the club? How do you act? How do they act?
Mm.
Over years, how did you act before? Because a lot of the girls that are in bottle clubs used to
Mm.
be strippers.
Right.
So, for example, they worked in a small town in a small state, uh,
Mm.
like with less population. They might have been a stripper, right,
Mm.
when they're 18. Then they graduate to Vegas, and
Mm.
being a stripper in Vegas is much more hardcore. And if you're pretty and young, that's not the place to start. The place to
Mm.
start is in a more higher class place. And so you want to start. There's a career path for you,
Oh
and
yeah.
that path, if you follow that path properly, you're going to go through a series of things, and you'll end up at a certain space. And that path can be okay for you. I don't want to say it's like bad, or you're bad for doing it, or you're bad for being climbed. There's nothing like that. But it's like, it's interesting. And if you don't know these things, it's fucking really super dangerous for you as a guy. Super dangerous, because you have women, they have their natural tendencies, right? And
Mm-hmm.
difficulties every MGTOW talks about, and every PUA, every guy has to deal with all this stuff with women. When you add in this stuff, you're adding in stuff that's like, it's like institutional standard things that no young guy understands. You know what I mean? Like, you have to be an old man to understand this stuff, basically.
This
Yeah.
is this is putting some chemicals in the variable.
Right. It makes it super difficult. And so you can get into a situation where you're way in over your head, and you're just
Mm.
like, you're like a fool in the situation.
Mm.
You don't know what she's doing. She could be
Mm.
doing all kinds of things, and you're essentially being a fool. Or you could be like, she could really like you, and it could be serious, and you wouldn't know. It's like there's a lot of misunderstanding, and so let's break it down. So go ahead and say what you were going to say. What is Music Show
Well,
by?
I think, okay, first of all, the truth is, probably if you look this up, the origins are nefarious. We don't know. But Mizu water trade, I heard what they did is they had the water trade was on the rivers, and they would have these canal boats, and they would transport people between the different clubs and stuff back
Mhm.
in the old days. That was I guess that's the nice romantic story, but the way you painted it was pretty good.
Okay. So we got basically, so we don't need to do a full history lesson, but music, or the bottle girls, they might not know it, but it all
Yeah.
came from Japan. And
Yeah.
I found that a lot of sex industry stuff came from Japan. There's a
Oh
great
yeah.
there's a fantastic movie called The Pornographers, which is very difficult to find. It's an old black and white movie, and it's a story about the very first sex doll. And the guy is like meticulously planning this thing. And the book is even better, but the movie's great too. And that describes the very first sex doll. So a lot of things in the sex industry actually came from Japan. So having the Japanese history is like really, really good for understanding this stuff. Like, what does it really mean? What are the pitfalls? What are the realities of it? So it started from Japan. It came over, and then the bottle industry is quite new, right? It's
Mm.
in the States. Basically started in something like the 80s or something, or 90s.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's not an old industry in the States, and so
Mm.
a lot of people don't really know what they're getting into. Like when I was a
Mm-hmm.
kid, there was no bottle girls.
Mm.
It was a completely different industry back then. There was prostitutes back then, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and then you had regular girls. It was not this thing that is now. Now women have gotten real power in the clubs, and
Mm-hmm.
for example, in Vegas, the Light Group essentially it controls all the clubs. So there's one group called the Light Group. The girl I dated worked at the Light Group. The Light Group, all the clubs, all the big clubs, Hakkasan and everything, Omnia, they all are staffed by the Light Group girls. So the Light Group permeates Vegas. And I think every kind of city that has a lot of this industry, they have one group, and they're like very tight knit group, right? They're very, once you're in, right? Once you're into the center of this thing, you get job after job after job, and then
It's like being a made man in the mafia.
yeah, yeah. And sure. And then like some of these things, like this one here is the sad world of nightclubs, of bottle girls. But I don't know if it's necessarily all sad, and I don't want to paint it. I don't want to paint it in a certain direction, one way or the other. I just want to talk about it super honestly. I want to get out the facts of what's going on, how it affects you, how to think about things, and what you need to know to be a normal guy, like to navigate this world, because there is no information for you. No one's going to tell you anything. You are completely in the dark.
Yeah, and the interesting thing, because I'm here, it's all around me. I mean, I could just walk around with my camera and do my own like personal blog on it. There's like at least 30 of these places around the station, right?
Yeah, sure. So let's talk about it.
And that's like, these are really like, even on the outside of these establishments, they've got pictures, and these women are like really made up well. I mean, they got hairstylists and good photographers, and it's just like, holy shit, is that girl really there?
It's really interesting you say that, because the girl that I dated was absolute professional at makeup, and I don't say that lightly. Like I really don't mean that lightly, and I it's a compliment, because she was so good at makeup. It took her like 3 hours to get ready.
Hey, mine was too.
Yeah, she was so good. Well, the thing is, Japanese girls are better at makeup. A Japanese girl, she knows exactly where her clothes end to a millimeter. She knows how much closer to her panties her skirt is. She knows exactly how close it is to her nipples. She knows, a Japanese girl, and this is one thing I really learned in Japan, is that they have a much better understanding of what they're showing you and what you're seeing. Whereas American girls are much more sloppy. In other countries like Thailand, you'll see a girl who will be bending over and she'll have, her titties hanging out, and she doesn't even realize it because she's so out of touch with what she's showing you. She doesn't care. Japanese girls are like that. Every millimeter is tight. They know exactly the image they're giving you. They know what makeup they're wearing, if it's funeral makeup, if it's friendship makeup, if it's pure makeup. Like I'm a pure
work.
Everything is very down to the very most subtle distinction. So that's what I'm saying with this girl in Vegas, is she really was like that. And it blew me away, because I've never met an American girl who was that sophisticated, different looks. And she was no joke. She was an absolute professional. She could have worked in Hollywood or whatever as a makeup artist.
Sure.
She knew what she was doing. And
like conversely, I mean, here, like my story, right? The woman that I was involved with, I mean, the little tags in the underwear, the tag, like for the in the little late, like you don't really need that tag, the tag that shows the size or the underwear or whatever, the bra size or whatever. They would cut that off, right? Because it shows through the material, right? And also cut all the little snags off the little threads that like are sticking out. Like they have to look perfectly polished, man. And,
it's interesting you say that,
and buy the finest brushes, like we're doing makeup, and the most expensive shit out there, man.
Oh yeah, there's nothing that's too expensive for a bottle girl, as far as clothes go. It doesn't matter, because the some of the tables, like I gotta hear a lot of this stuff. Some of the tables drop as much as $80,000 at a table.
That's unreal.
This is what makes it. This is what brings the complexity in. If you're a waitress and you're working at, say, a restaurant, and somebody tips you, say, $100, there's no hidden meaning with that. If the guy wants something for $100, he's out of his mind. Okay, he's going to get nothing from you. But it's very different if a guy hands a girl $5,000.
Oh yeah.
And then says, "Hey, afterwards we're going to go here," right? Or he drops $10,000, or he drops $15,000, or $20,000. The reason why I make a difference in those is because as an inexperienced guy, you're not going to know there's a big difference in these things.
Oh, it's sending a message, definitely.
There's a big difference in what's expected for each amount of money. And I don't want to, again, this is about being realistic. So don't read into this. Don't think like, hey, this means everybody's a prostitute. This means that there's a trade for a certain thing. I'm not saying that. I'm saying it's very complex, but the expectations are rising with each $5,000 guaranteed. Guaranteed. And also, what complicates it is, let's say you have a girl who's not interested in the client, and he's dropping this kind of money. Okay, so he really likes her, right? And he wants to have a good time that trip, right? Well, then there's other people that are involved. There's the light group. There's the bosses, right? Now, the bosses are going to tend to side with the girls because the girls are the cash cow. So if the guy's being an idiot or whatever, they're going to kick him out. So that's also what confuses things. But all that being said, the girls are replaceable. They're very, very replaceable by a new girl, and they know that. So you have to do certain things, right? I mean, just imagine you were working in a gay club. Let's say you got a job in college in a gay club, and you're not gay, and they said, "Hey, you just have you just have to stand at the door, and we'll give you like $200 cash, no tax." A lot of street guys would be like, "Yeah, why not? I'll stand at the door." Well, then they say, "Look, why don't you be a bartender? You can be a bartender, and you can make tips off the guys and say, okay, I'll do that." I had a friend in college who he used to. They had this cage that would come down in the gay bar. And he was straight, but what he would do is he would be in the cage, and then he had to like shave his chest and stuff, and then he would flex his muscles. He'd come down in the cage, and then he'd be all covered in oil and everything, and then all the guys would go crazy, and then he would come back up, right? And he was straight as hell. Like, I knew him very well. He was a good friend of mine. But that was kind of what he did. But the thing is now that guy is gay. That same friend is now gay.
Oh.
So the thing is it affected him,
Yeah.
So I just want to say, like, it's not, if you're in this kind of high pressure sexuality thing, is even the girls themselves don't understand what they're going through.
I can
understand it, but it's still, it's way more complex than one person. And like, we surprise ourselves, I'm sure, so.
It can rewire the brain bit.
I don't know. I never will know if he secretly had something going on in his mind that made him take that job, and I didn't want that job. Maybe there was something there. Maybe it was a gray line for him. I don't know. He's a nice guy. Girls liked him. He wasn't like a kind of guy that girls didn't like. Because I remember in college we had to strip for the little sisters. One night we had, and then they did the other girls at the fraternities, at sororities, they bid on us. And so we had to take our clothes off. And so me and my friend did it. Me and the Spanish guy stripped, and then he stripped. And then I remember he got the most money that night. He got the biggest amount of money from girls. And then I don't know what happened. I'm guessing he fucked her that night because it was very exciting. The girl gave money. Everybody was all excited about it. Hooked up. So it's money. It's what do you call it? It's compliments. It's confusing emotions. It's everything all at once. The girls are like, they get into it. They don't even know what they're getting into when they start. And then the other girls, and this is another thing I want to say, is like, in that industry, there's gray lines crossed all the time. So especially in Vegas, is some of the girls are going to be meth addicts. Some of the girls are going to be strippers. A lot of the girls are going to be escorts. And then also different types of girls. So the girl I dated, she was the pure type. So she was the one who didn't wear makeup. So if you look at any of the pictures, all the other girls were absolutely caked with makeup on. And she had makeup on, but it wasn't looking like makeup. It was looking like pure.
Then there's the 1 out of 100 girls that says, I got a 5-year plan. I'm going to make my money and get out.
No. They all say that. But the thing is, they don't all do it. And so that's the thing. They all say that because that's the out emotionally, or, that's the thing is they say, hey, I'm doing this now, but, I'm not going to do this forever. Right. And so that's actually a good point you make there, is that one of the things that all the girls do, that my girl did and all the girls do, is they don't want to be seen as bottle girls. So they don't talk about it. And they all do businesses on the side. So imagine you're getting like tips of $5,000. Now the girls do have to share the tips. They don't get it themselves, but it comes out to a lot of money. I mean, it just comes out to a shit ton of money. So even if you have a bad night, another girl had a good night, so you're going to get part of that. Another night you have a good night, the other girl has a bad night, she gets part of yours, and so they share it. But the thing is I just lost my train of thought. But it's fuck, I totally lost. What did you say? I'm sorry, I totally lost my train of thought.
There's an actual smart one, a real smart one.
Oh, okay, yeah. So the thing is, the girls they all are going to start businesses on the side because they know that it's a limited time frame. So you can only be a bottle girl from, let's say, 18 until, let's say, 32. And that's kind of the end of your reign, right? Because the new girls come in, the new younger girls come in, and then you're kind of kicked out. So you can become like a boss, you can become a trainer for the girls, you can do different things, but you're basically no longer the hot bottle girl, right? So the thing is, what they do is they start businesses on the side. So for example, the girl I was dating, she had a dress business on the side and it failed. She had a golf business and it failed. And she was trying to start different businesses on the side. And every girl who's a bottle girl will do that because, one, they have tons of money. Two, they have tons of guys who are always trying to give them money. If the girl has any kind of pure intentions, like I want to start let's say a dog, a rescue operation, these rich guys are happy to do it because now they're going to be with the girl more often. They're going to be kind of like their boyfriend. They're going to be giving them money for this thing. The girl's going to be very grateful. She's more grateful than even a tip because if he invests in her like business on the side, they spend time together. And it's like this, and again, it's this gray line. It's this gray line. But the heart of the whole thing is this. Every business they do is based on rich guys. So whether it's, guys who play golf and have a lot of money, or whether it's guys who can open doors, for them and some, say to be a model or an actress or whatever, or
the network,
the network. So it all goes with guys with money and girls who don't have money and want to, get some advantage, and then the guys want to get something from them. So that's the dynamic that always happens. There's no like poor guys going in these clubs and the girls are, styling them out. That doesn't happen. And so let's get into the specifics. So when you go into I'm sure a lot of guys listening to this have obviously been to a club and they've been to like the VIP booths and they've seen the girls who deliver the bottles. They come out with the sparklers and everything. And like, it's very confusing because you don't know what they really do. Like, do they just come out and deliver a bottle, or what actually happens? What happens behind the scenes?
Yeah.
Sells the bottle and everything.
Lap dance.
Yeah, there's obviously there's strippers and there's lap dances and stuff, but in the clubs there's no lap dance. What is the deal? So basically, a bottle girl in LA, New York, Vegas, they are having to basically get the money out of the guy. So their job is to sit with them, make them comfortable, make them feel like there's something more coming. Because let's face it, the whole club is about sex. Okay, everything is about the smell of sex. Every skirt is short, every boob is big, the smell of the dance floor, the girls, what they're wearing, their shoes. A bottle girl will have hundreds of millions of shoes and millions of dresses of different levels of sluttiness. Big difference. There's a lot of slutty stuff. There's also a lot of classy stuff. So again, you got girls who are working in the club, being bottle girls who are being offered big money and for going out on dates and meeting afterwards and this and that. And then you have different levels of clothes and you have confusing and you have a omerta of girls not talking to anybody about what happens. What is it? What is the omerta? Tell me about, like, when you first dated. I know in the porn industry, I know I was there with you the day before you met your wife, and I remember we went to the nightclub. I'll just tell the guys, we went to a strip club, which I never go to strip clubs. I don't even remember why we went, but for whatever reason we walk in that day, and then you went back secretly the next day, and that's when you met her. Tell me about how you originally didn't know what she did. You knew she was working at a strip club, that's all. And it was like a Japanese strip club, so they don't even take the panties off. You know, it's like that's what they do in Japan.
No, yeah, no, it was, this place was, I think she pushed the line. She took it down to the, but you know, the point was, is she kept the facade, you know, that she was, just a stripper.
Okay, so you went to the day after we met. She was
Mm,
there. I remember the
mm,
scene you described. Somebody asked her, "What's your type of guy?"
mm.
And what happened?
Yeah, and she said, he's my type, and he has this green aura. You know, I was wearing a green trench coat, you know, and the light was shining on me. So it was just a bunch of bullshit. But you know, and I was all excited. You know, I meet this stripper, and she was the headline act too, right? It was supposed to be a duo thing, and she was the headline act. And yeah, I think it was my first time in a stripper bar in Japan too. So
Yeah, yeah,
uh,
yeah,
and you know, I got the number, and then I met up with her for weeks and weeks afterwards, and I just thought she was a stripper. And
yeah.
all intents and purposes, that's what she was at that time.
Right. So then, what came down that you figured out, and how did you feel about it? Just tell it really quick. What are the bullet points?
Oh, yeah. Well, we were you know, I call her up, come over, you know, and you know, just enjoy each other, and that went on for about a month, and then
Regular dates.
we're just regular, nothing. Oh, stripper, I'm a stripper. Yeah, that's what she was doing. And then she'd buy everything, she'd pay for everything, and then we were walking around Nakano Boulevard there, you know, and we walked into a rental store, a porn shop kind of thing, and I thought, wow, this is going to be interesting. And she goes, does that look like me? And I go, no. And because it's like your gut reaction, right? And she goes,
Yeah,
no, that's me. She goes, that's me. And it was it was the cover of a DVD case, right?
yeah.
So
Wow.
I,
So
I
yeah.
I couldn't buy. I still couldn't believe it. It took me a long time after to believe that, you know. So
Right.
there's
But
this
how would you believe it? You know?
gut feeling. Well, it's your gut feeling. I think it's all guys' reactions. Your gut feeling, like, yeah, that's fine for what I watch, but like not with the person that I'm with right now. Like, you know, all kinds of weirdness happens at that time, you know.
Yeah, sure, sure. I had a girl who was in the porn industry that I was with her, and I had pictures on my wall of porn stars and everything, or like naked girls. And then she
Hmm.
said to me very innocently, she said, or not innocently, but matter of fact, she said, "Do you like that?" And I said, "Yes, I do." You know, it was a simple question, right? You know, and I do like beautiful naked girls, right? So I said, "Yes, I do." And then she didn't say anything else. She just looked at me like, "Okay." And then we went to her house, and then she showed me the book where it was her porn book, you know, and I could see that
Hmm.
what she'd done and stuff, and it didn't turn me on. And that's another thing that I want to like get into for my story is that the bottle girl, the big boobs, the prettiness, the kind of like I'm dating a hot girl. I never got into that, and that really messed up our relationship a lot because a lot of guys that's their big thing. So the girls they know that, and then they know the
Hmm.
guys will be super happy with the fact that they're sexy, right? And then they're going to put up with it a lot. But the thing with me is, I actually liked her. Like I didn't even care that she was sexy. Like I've dated so many girls, I don't care. I really don't even want other guys to hit on my girl. I don't want them to think she's hot. I don't care. Like I don't even like it. You know, I don't even like. I just want to be with somebody I like. I'm in my little world with them, and that's it. There's no. I don't want. I don't want to show anybody. I don't need to prove anything to anybody ever when it comes to girls. I would be happy. If I was gay, I would be fine dating. Like I don't care at all whether people do
Hmm.
and stuff. So I didn't get the enjoyment, and so she couldn't blackmail me into putting up
Hmm.
with stuff because I was so sold on her hotness and bringing this hot girl with me. None of that made.
Yeah.
I just
Yeah.
literally looked at her as a person,
Hmm.
and I thought this girl's a good girl. I had no idea about anything about the bottle industry, and I was like, I want to have a baby. I talked about this back in November. I
Hmm.
interviewed Miggy, and I said I want to have babies. So when I met her, I was like, this girl looks like a healthy girl could have a
Hmm.
baby. That's literally all I was thinking. So either way,
Hmm.
I wanted to have a baby, for whatever reason. But,
Mm.
okay, so
Mm.
go in this. So you guys now you know that she's on the cover of, you're not sure. And then what were the other like realizations? Just boom, 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 bullet points. What was the things that like,
Well, then, the way it works here is like you work for a just like that company you mentioned, the Light Group. Well,
yeah,
that sounds exactly sort of like here. You work for a, a, a company that farms you out, like an entertainment management company.
right.
And so, well, now you're done with the strip job. How about you do this? How about you do that? How about you do this? So I didn't know all this stuff, right? So, but I figured this out later on. But anyway, I called her up one day, and she's off in, she's out of Tokyo. She's way far away. She's doing a different project altogether. She's doing she didn't tell me, but she was doing a video, right? And so it was really hard to connect with her, but and then gradually, as time went along, it was like, this is what I do, and it was just about everything, man.
So basically, like there was this whole industry of, and it kind of, as far as I understand, it kind of like mirrors the age of the girl in Japan. So when she's very young, for example, if she's in the industry, she's going to be what's that called? I dated a girl like this. What was that called? I can't remember what it's called. Idol. She's an idol, and
Yeah,
she's a bikini idol, and she would have a
yeah,
very decent look when she's like very
yeah,
young. And then
yeah.
as she gets up to a certain age, like say 20, that's
Mm,
that industry, and that's a non-sex thing. It's just like,
mm,
and
yeah.
it's just imagine cute girl bikini bouncing around
It's
on
like,
the park,
yeah,
uh,
Sports Illustrated. Yeah.
Sports Illustrated, and then after she gets to say 20, she's too old for that industry. Then somebody comes up to her and says, "Look, you can do this other thing," and then
Mm,
it's like one thing after the other, and it's like a set pattern of things that girls go through if they stay attractive
sure.
that they're offered. So
Yeah.
your girlfriend at the time was starting to get these offers, but you didn't know she'd been in porn for a long time. This girl was way experienced. Like she's famous. Like you're
Mm, yeah.
I knew her. Everybody knows her. Even people listening, most people that are older would definitely know her. Like, but you just had no idea. Like that's how clueless a guy can be about this stuff. And
Yeah, and she told me later down the line why, because most guys will leave. She told me that.
now I want to dig into this one real quick because I know that this is exactly why girls will say that they're not telling you this or that. But the
Hmm.
thing that I would say to that is that yes, guys will leave. Okay, some guys will leave, some guys will stay, but that's how it is. So with a guy, when you're dating girls, a lot of girls won't want to be with you. You don't have enough money. You're not.
No,
But
and
the
no,
girls are
it's
not
actually a
thinking.
lot easier to be. It's a lot easier to be with a client.
Yeah, exactly. So the girls are basically asking for everything. They're like, I'm going to do
Hmm.
all these things that guys don't want in their girlfriend. I'm going to do everything the guy doesn't want. And I'm not going to tell him. And
Hmm.
the reason why is because he'll leave. So it's kind of like if I get a job as a priest and I say, oh, by the way, I'm gay and I use meth, they won't hire me, right? Because that's it's not looked upon kindly these days. So of course I won't get the job, but I won't get the job because I don't deserve the job. You know what I mean? Like the job is not
Yeah.
about being a gay priest and using meth. So and going to the saunas. The job is praying for people and trying to help them through their difficulties. So when the girl says that,
Yeah.
it's true, but at the same time, it's like it's to anybody like realistic, it's complete bullshit because the guy will leave because he doesn't want that, and the girl's job is to tell who she is. Supposedly women are these great communicators. So you confess and and I just want to say this. I want to say this is that I know every guy is different. I know every guy has a different level of self-confidence in himself sexually, with his everything, with his organ, with his skills, with his age, with everything. every guy has a different skill, and every guy thinks he's a lot tougher than he says, than he actually
Mm-hmm.
is, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I also feel, because I've been with so many types of girls, I've had to deal with stuff already, so I already know how to act and things. For myself personally, what I like, and before you even tell the story, what I expect a girl to do is to be honest about it. And the reason why is because I'm smart, so I'm going to figure it out eventually, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if
Yeah.
you tell me the truth,
Mm.
and we work it, and you tell me the real truth. So, for example, you say, look, I was a bottle girl. I used to, our job is not to hook up with clients, so I avoided that. I was the, innocent new girl from the countryside that was, certain image I had.
Yeah.
But some guys were very attractive, and when I drink, I get into trouble. And so I would make out with the guys sometimes, and I sucked off some guys in the bathroom, and I got fucked in the bathroom by a couple of guys, which is super embarrassing. I was super drunk, and I don't really remember it, but one particular guy came in a few times, and I actually liked him, and he used to do this, and he used to do that.
Mm.
Those kind of things I personally can deal with, because I know that girls have a lot of experience, because in my life, I fucked so many married girls and so many girls in relationships. Girls tend to tell me the truth, right? They'll say, oh, my husband doesn't know, he thinks this, he thinks that. So I already know it from the outside, and I know it from the inside. But if a girl is honest with me, then there's a beginning of a relationship. Because if you're not honest, that's when it gets fucked up, because then it's like all of a sudden there's no common ground. She's got, like, these girls have endless secrets, okay? They have insane amount of secrets. And it's all I'll just say real quick, their personal secrets, their group secrets, the NDAs, the guys who are around, the hosts that they can hook up with one night without any trouble, because everybody in the business is very cold, often drunk and on drugs and things like that. So they're not, they're not in a standard place. So the girl has a lot of experience in things, and it does lower their value. And then that's what girls can't admit. They are lowering their value every time they take a job like this. Every new job they take, every time they put on those clothes, they lower their value. And they can't, girls want it all. They want to admit, they want to be this, a certain kind of girl. And then they also want to do anything else. And then they don't want it to affect them. But the truth is, it does affect you. It does affect your value. That's what they're struggling against. They had a very high value before as a potential wife, and now their value is much, much lower. And they're seen as, like, when guys ask for the bottle girls, they'll say, what do you want? Some guys will say white girls, some will say black girls. Some will just say, just bring the sluts. I just want the sluts. And that's apparently what most guys say when they want the girls. The girls are allowing themselves to be called sluts to guys who want sluts, and sit down with them, and the guy spends enough money, he can get away with stuff, and if he's a bit high enough roller. And at the same time, she wants to have the control of her image, but that's not how it works, because it all affects everything, and it permeates her value in life, right?
Yeah. The other one too that they might hide is that they actually have a kid.
Oh my God, they hide everything.
That's the one that was hidden from me too. I didn't know that.
She had a kid, right?
Yeah.
How long did you know her before you found out she had a kid?
3-4 months.
Whoa.
Yeah.
My friend,
because the reason they do all this shit is they want their cake and they eat it too. And plus they want to live kind of a fantasy of that that they're with a normal guy. That's what I think. They want that fantasy. Like, he doesn't know about me. He's not going to treat me like, like one of the guys in the clubs, right?
Right. And that fantasy is nice and everything. And they have endless guys coming to them. So sometimes they can basically get whatever they want. And often many of these stories end up being fairly sad too. So it's like a desire for something that doesn't happen a lot of times,
It's definitely a fantasy, yeah.
let's talk about the secrets, because this is one very good topic. Like with girls, secrets, what they keep secret is bottle girls in Vegas. I can tell you this right now. They always look single to everybody.
Oh yeah.
They don't have any. They look single. They're not wearing a wedding ring. They're not talking about their. They're not showing pictures of their boyfriend. They don't go to the club afterwards. They want the man to be invisible. Like there's no. They even like I would say even psycho about certain things. Like for example, they will never post a picture of their boyfriend on social media.
No, yeah, for sure.
They will not post any pictures of you. If you date a bottle girl, she will not post pictures of you.
Well,
her pictures are always going to be her dog, her cat, her travels, her vacations, her new bikini, her food, whatever it is, anything except for you. So as a guy, you might not understand what's going on, but what's going on actually is that, one, there's a lot of guys with money who are still chasing her, who, when she's a bottle girl, when she's there, she has to pretend like she's single at all times, right? And the only people she can be married to is another guy who works in the club, because they both play the same role. So for example, if the girl I was dating, she had a husband who worked in the club with her, he knew the whole thing, and the only people who knew they were married would be somebody who was working there. But nobody else, none of the clients knew anything. So it was kind of perfect because you got your husband there and you both are secret about it. You both understand how it all works. And the more money he makes, the more money she gets. And the more money she makes, he gets. So it's just kind of this win. It's like everybody understands what the girls go through, what's going on. And the guy can keep an eye on her. And a lot of the guys obviously get pretty twisted in this whole industry with all these hot girls around and all the drugs and drinking. And then the guys also get pretty odd about their proclivities too, you know. But it's all secret. It's all secret. Nobody knows. And as a guy, if you're a normal guy and you come into a relationship with these girls, fuck man, you will not understand. Like I'll tell you this: when I was dating this girl, she would never ever post a picture of me, not once, not one picture of me ever. And I posted a lot
for sure, because you're ruining her business, man.
Right. And the other thing is when I would take a video, so for example, we would take videos together. I would go do something and I would have video. And she would never show her face in the video. I could show you screenshots of her face in any of my videos where we would look at, for example, we'd look at a house, right? She always looked down, she looked away, her face was super serious, she had no makeup on, she didn't look like the same girl who worked in the club. So if anybody watched the video, get this, and I was like figuring this stuff out over time. Because she never said anything personal, and she never came up and never hugged me, never said my name. You think she's my agent. That's how bad it was in my videos. All my videos with her, I look at her and it looks like a very cold agent that you don't even have a good relationship with. Like it doesn't even look like an agent that you really like, that you know what I mean? Like sometimes you really like your agent or your you know, whatever business you're in, you know, your salesman, you know, you get along really well. You might buy 10 houses from them, right? She doesn't, she looks like an agent that I just met who's just doing her job, all business. So the videos, she kept her head down, she looked away. And get this, she often even wore a hat. Like when I go to Hollywood, I live in Hollywood Hills a lot. The girls have hats on and the guys have hats on and they look down. The famous ones, when you walk in the hills, you'll see famous people, but they always have a little cap on, sometimes sunglasses, and they're trying to keep a very low profile so they don't have any fans coming up to them, right? That's exactly what the girls do, the bottle girls, when they're with you. They always look like they're kind of in some kind of secret thing. You know, it's like you just, they don't want to take a picture with you. Most girls, they love to take a picture with you. They love to like be all over you, kiss their man, hold their man. And but what's really funny is there's other things that are super confusing. Like I remember when she used to take off her clothes, she would take off her clothes like a stripper. So yeah, when she changed clothes, she would always pop her boobs out. And I don't go to strip clubs and I don't like strip clubs. I don't like strippers. And I told her that. And she never liked that I didn't like that. Like I said, I don't like the girls in the clubs. I don't like strippers. Like I didn't know she was doing any of this stuff. All I knew, I didn't know.
Well, because that's just total like dissing the business, man.
Yeah, because I actually was. The reason why I told her that is because I really am like that.
Yeah, I know that. Yeah, for
Yeah,
sure. Yeah.
I wanted her to know who I was because I didn't want her to be confused that I'm a guy, just because I have a lot of experience with girls, that I would be the guy who's drunk, trying to touch the girls. No way, no way, no way. Every girl I ever slept with was sober. I never seduced a girl drunk. I never
Hmm.
used drugs. I never used anything to seduce any girl ever. And that's the truth. Never.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
why I
Yeah.
can't relate to Harvey Weinstein and these guys. I actually found girls who liked me, who
Hmm.
I grooved with, and we went forward totally
Yeah.
together. And that is very, very scary for somebody with a lot of secrets. When you have a lot of secrets,
Oh,
you
yeah.
have your armor on, you know,
Yeah.
and
Oh, yeah.
that's when you let go. And that was the thing that I realized with this girl is that she was only relaxed when she was drunk. That was when everything was better. So sex was better. I never drank with her, but the first time we got together, she drank 5 big glasses of wine, and then she was totally quote unquote normal. When it comes to.
Sure.
But when anytime there was no booze, she was super super uncomfortable. So I think that this behavior, this particular girl had been in the clubs and in industry for 17 years and
Yeah.
started very young. So I think that it affects the girl at such a deep level where even if there's nobody chasing her, she's not used to having a boyfriend. She's not used
Yeah.
to loving somebody. She's not used to being open. She's not used to kissing a guy. She's not used to being worried.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
everything is secret, and this is her personality now. Because anything you do when you're young becomes the way you act when you're old, right? It's your traditions. And so
Well,
you go through this normal boyfriend girlfriend thing, and it becomes this very weird thing. And I couldn't understand it at the time.
I think what happens is they wake up one day and they have these days, these moments, right? And they think, who the hell am I? They really don't know who they are. Am I this, you know, whatever my name is that it's on the marquee, or am I this person that I was born with this name, right? And they really have a hard time identifying with the name that they're born with.
Oh, you're talking about like in the porn industry.
But I think it echoes into that too, like what that
Right.
bottle girl stuff. It's the same thing. I
Yeah.
think they lose their whole identity.
Like, who are they? Are they
Yeah,
are they
yeah,
the girl from so and so city, so and so state, or are
yeah.
they their real name? Are they the person that?
Mm,
Right. The longer they go on that, the
mm.
more it becomes confusing. Like, I know for sure. Like for me, it happens with Ronin Man. Like, am I Ronin Man or am I my real person? Right.
Mhm, mhm.
I am both. But the longer I do Ronin Man, the more I associate with Ronin Man, the more I call myself Ronin Man. And the other day, when I was in Hollywood Hills, I was with a bunch of guys, and I bought some food. I didn't want them to eat it, so I wrote Ronin on it. And so I can relate to this. Is that your image
Ego.
becomes complex. Like
Mhm.
to you, I'm a certain person, but to somebody listening to the podcast, I'm a different person. But how does this affect? How does this affect girls?
Mm.
Like, what do you think?
I think if they're in certain industries, and hey, maybe it could be anything too. Like if you're in a profession, and like you said, if you do something long enough, you become what that is. What's expected of you, right? You know.
Yeah, yeah, and I think
I
also,
think it's just human. I think it's not even a male fee. It's just a human thing. Like if you do something for long enough, even if it's a fake thing, you've made up all these identities to that persona.
well,
You
also
know.
I think that what we have to talk about the reality of being like, let's say, a girl in the sex industry, and I consider like actresses somewhat in the sex industry. They're selling sex.
Yes.
People who work in clubs are in the sex industry. People who work in porn are obviously in the sex industry.
Modeling.
Doctors are definitely in the sex industry. It's all part of the sex industry, and the thing about the sex industry is that there is benefits too, along with
Mm.
negatives. So when you're outside of society, you start to see all the fake stuff that people do, kind of like the red pill, and then you start to not it. You start to think like, what's so great? You know what I mean? What's so great about being a normal girl?
Yeah, working for $10 an hour at the
Right,
at the
and then
court.
being sexually harassed by your boss. Like,
Yeah,
so that's the thing, is that they start to think of all the positives. They don't have a lot of, they make a lot of money. They get,
yeah.
they don't have to, there's, it's just like, and they start to like, they start to see the red pill, and then there's some big drawbacks to working in the sex industry too.
Mm.
But those things they kind of think they can avoid or whatever. But it's definitely they see through regular life, and they don't want to be regular anymore in a way.
Go to that weird. There's that article up about I make more than lawyers do. Which one's that?
Let's see here. Let's see here. Which one was it? This one is a really good one. We got to go back to this one. I don't know if I have that one with me. Let's see. I don't know. She maintains the illusion of being single. Yeah, this is the one we talked about here.
Mm.
Identified. Yeah. I don't have that one ready to go. Tell me what. Just talk about it. Yeah.
Yeah, well, that one article we were looking at, it was I make more than lawyers do. I mean, what you know, that echoes back to the relationship I was with this woman, and you know, I can't go do a regular job. I can't, just um, go work in uh, as a in an office or something like that. I once you make the good money, you don't want to go backwards, right?
Right. Is it was
Make
the same with me. I don't want to be an employee because I've had my own business so long that
Yeah, it makes no sense.
why would I want to be an employee? And
Hmm.
once girls have done it, now of course it's short term, and this is what fucks things up, is a girl's beauty is very short lived, like a rose. So after, let's say, 30, it's kind of over um, for this industry, and it becomes more and more over every minute after that. But
Hmm.
what and so it's for a period of time you're talking about, but eventually every girl realizes that their ability to do this stuff is over, and they have to like get realistic about things again.
Mm.
But I think it's quite interesting the way that they put on these fronts of having these businesses, whether they have an NGO or whether they have a clothing business or a jewelry business or dog walking business, a golf business, whatever business they have on the side. It's a way of, I think there's 2 points to it. Is one is because they have so much money coming in that they want to spend it on something, right? They don't need clothes, but they have all these clothes, and they don't need travel because they can't really travel that much. They got to be working, right?
Hmm.
So they want something that's going to eventually, when they get out of the industry, they're going to have something to fall back on, and also it covers up their tracks, right? So a business owner, let's say you meet somebody who's 40 years old, she's got a very successful business, let's say a restaurant. You would never guess that she was in the sex industry before.
Hmm.
That's what they bank on. As they get older, they become a mother, they become a business owner, and they've
Yeah.
successfully covered up their past. But the problem is that it doesn't get covered up because it's always relevant. It's always relevant for the rest of their lives. And that's what I think a lot of young girls don't really understand that.
Well, they can sort of transition out, they can marry up or marry out, or, I feel a little bit optimistic for them, I guess. But generally speaking, they have shit skills to deal with regular life. Yeah, for
Well, no,
sure.
I don't mean that. I mean like, okay, for example, if I, let's say the veterans that come back from the war, so they come back from Vietnam and they have now killed a lot of people, and they've seen their friends be killed, and they just don't look at humans the same way as regular people. They never will.
Yeah.
They're always going to be killing someone is always an option, for one thing. If somebody pisses them off enough, because to them it's the line has been crossed long ago, right? So
Hmm.
the idea that they uh, like the girls who've done this, and the girls they've been around, because no matter how bad your girl is or how good she is, she's in this industry, she's going to be with friends who are much worse than her.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
Girls around here crossing these lines much worse than her, right? So
yeah, yeah, yeah.
whether she's done it herself, she's seen it, it affects her view of the world.
Yeah.
So for example, I remember one time I was driving, and I don't know what we
Mhm.
were talking about, some kind of movie or something or whatever. I don't know how we got in this topic, but it was like having sex for a lot of money. So if a guy offered a lot of money, what would you do? And I wasn't asking her. I was talking about some general thing. And she said to me, she said, I would definitely do it. And I was like, what
Yeah.
the fuck? I was like, because she was serious. She said, I would definitely do it, basically for the right amount of money. And I was like, holy fuck, like, I didn't expect that. So a lot of the stuff that comes out of this industry is just stone cold, scary stuff. And when it hits you, you're not even like, as a guy, you just don't even know what the fuck is going on, right? Do you even like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's very fucking scary, when you even hear these things. And I think a lot of the guys, they don't even want to know these things. And so this is partly how the girls cover it up, is the guy's own unwillingness to find out where she's really at. Where is her mind at? Where does she think about her daughter? Where does she think
Mhm.
about herself? What does she think
Mhm.
about things? Like, what does she think about you? Everything is a secret. They only let it out piece by piece. And it's like, sometimes you hear it and it blows you away. What did you ever, like, where it's like bud chilling your bones kind of thing that she said?
Oh, yeah, kind of along the lines of the driving in the car thing. Yeah, that experience.
Yeah. What do you remember?
Yeah,
What were the specifics?
yeah. Well, for sure. I mean, like when I learned more and more about what she was doing, and her obligations, really, because um, it's work, right? It's money. So uh, then there were moments where I don't want to do this anymore, and then there were also ones where the guy would just, oh, how about we pay you this for this job? And she'd say, okay, how many movies is that? Is that 3 movies or 4? You said 2 originally, that kind of shit.
Mm-hmm,
And
mm-hmm.
then she would say, okay, it's 4, all right, but how many days? It'll be done it'll be done. You know, they just keep saying bullshit, right? So they get bullshitted, but this is the other one too, is they get bullshitted by their own people, and they know they're getting bullshitted, and they go along with it.
Right, right. It's kind of like
You
you
know
don't
what I'm getting at?
the client, but you have to make him come back.
Yeah, like you might interject there after all this is done and say, hey, like, that guy's full of shit. Your opinion is actually really not wanted. Your opinion is not wanted, even if it's true.
Right. It's kind of like right. I understand what you're saying. So she would basically be bullied into things at the same time as she knew that was the deal, and she was kind of like allowing herself to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And if she was managing a business making porn, she would also bully the other girls and tell them half the truth, and they would come in
Pro-
and accept it.
Probably,
Of
but
course, of course.
but the fact is like, you as the boyfriend, you're not supposed to be like dabbling in that world. You came into my world. You're supposed to sit in the corner and be a nice boy, you know, and go along with
Mhm.
all this stuff, right?
And if you don't, then you're
Then,
insecure.
well, yeah, you get the cold shoulder, or, you get shut down, right?
Right, right.
Which I think can go on in any of this sex industry stuff.
Uh,
If you don't go along with what she's doing, you're going to be you're not going to be very popular. You're going to be out down the road. There's always another guy. You're just like the last guy. You're in that category, telling me
right,
what to do. Right? You're telling me what to do. I make more money than you'll ever make. You
right,
know,
right, right.
that's the attitude, right? It's
Well,
all
that's the
about
other
the
thing I
money.
noticed is that girls who do this business, they tend to buy you a lot of stuff because this is their way of kind of buying you off.
Hmm.
It's like, okay, my clients give me money, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
My I make money from the clients. they're not my boyfriend, but my boyfriend, he gets, I'm going to buy things because you're supposed to look the other way. You're supposed to be able to put up with stuff that other guys can't put up with. And so it's not the regular relationship where she's expecting money from you. She can get money from all these other guys. She's not that concerned with money from you. Now, of course, it becomes very real once you get serious about life and a baby comes along or something like that. Then it all changes back. But originally, it's kind of like I've noticed these girls tend to splash out cash a lot.
Sure, and they'll throw it around all over the place, especially with their family, and that's all that. It's all hush money. It's like, you know, you had your hand out. You didn't mind taking my money. Now you got an opinion. You're going to tell me what to do. Tell me how to live my life.
Right, right.
Screw you.
Right.
Yeah.
You touched on something else interesting too, like how the family is part of. So let's talk about this omerta. So omerta is when you don't talk to the police as a mafioso, and you don't narc on someone. There's different types of omerta, right? There's omerta in the ghetto, like if you have an all black ghetto and there's like a white cop, there's an omerta not to talk about it. There's the blue line, the cops' blue line. The cops don't talk about other cops. There's the
jail.
There's the omerta of guys who went to prison if they were raped in prison. There's this omerta not talking about it afterwards. And there's an omerta in the Italian mafia, of course. The thing is with omerta in the sex industry, it's tell me about this. You have a lot of experiences. What's your take on it? Because there's the NDAs, there's other girls, there's family members, there's friends, there's best friends, there's social media, there's all these different factors. How does it all work? Like what is omerta for?
Well, I think for the people in those industries, they all harbor something on each other. They're all ready. They're ready to backstab if they have to, but they won't, and they will keep the secrets there, and that is like a security thing, right? And what goes on at work goes on at work. They won't tell anybody outside the workplace, right?
Right, because it would lower their value in outside work. So it's better that it's just like a bunch of hot girls who are just around.
Well, like say if you mentioned something goes on in the bathroom, right?
Yeah.
Maybe some of the staff there saw it, or somebody heard about it, or everybody in that club knew about it. But that doesn't leave the building, because then that client won't be welcome back either, right?
Right.
Yeah. And let's say if it's in stripping or porn or whatever it is, it's not to their advantage. It's like you're pissing on your own carpet, right? You know what I mean?
Sure. So the girls don't talk about it. So give me an example of something that they wouldn't talk, because I want to separate this so you can understand as a listener is like, okay, everybody has a sexual history, and this is not public information, and you shouldn't, as a guy, you shouldn't be like demanding to know, for example, did she blow a guy in the back of her car? Was she like having sex at 15 with a bunch of older guys? That's stuff that it matters when you're 15, but once she's older, it's kind of her secret thing. It's like you shouldn't go there, and it's like a certain kind of insecurity. The thing that's different in the sex industry or selling sex industry is that it affects you today, because this is stuff that breaks a girl. This is the stuff that ruins her femininity. This is stuff that makes her lose the essential softness and womanness that she originally had. And so you as a man deserve to know this. You need to know, how bad is she? How far
I think
down?
I think now in the day, with the internet and social media, all that. Like they really have to keep a tight ship. They really have to keep everything under wraps
Right, right,
because
right.
maybe they decide to change careers or whatever. It's still all out there, right?
Sure.
You
And
know,
you
and
know,
it works the other way too. Like if they include their family members or that boyfriend or whoever, that guy or whatever, that could ruin the business that they're in.
yeah, sure. And I wanted to add this in. We talked about this yesterday, but okay, these things we're talking about are very similar to Thai whores. The
Mm-hmm.
Thai girl who works in a prostitute, the way she acts, the way her life and the complex things she deals with are very similar to a girl who works in Vegas, actually. And
Oh
personality
yeah.
actually is very similar too. But the big difference is this: in Thailand or in the Philippines or any country where there's a lot of prostitution openly, right? There's
Yeah.
there's literally hundreds of clubs everywhere you go. And
Mm-hmm.
there's millions of girls in the industry. In fact, in one city alone, like in Pattaya, I think there's 300,000 prostitutes in that city, right? So
Mm-hmm.
there is no omerta because you have so many girls in the industry and they don't know each other. It's so big, and there's so many various motivations by the girls that they're dating guys, they're married to guys, they're mothers, they're retired, whatever. There's going to be girls breaking that omerta all the time.
But there is that one factor.
Yeah.
They could have a boyfriend in the background or a husband who's working as behind the scenes to pull that foreign guy over there, right?
Oh, for sure. No, no. I mean, at the same time as that, they're going to be fooling everybody about their innocence and everything. But at the
Mm-hmm.
same time, and they have their stories to get the guys money from the guys. But at the same time, what I'm saying is like the cohesiveness of the fraud is not as tight as you get in a city
Mm.
like Vegas or LA.
No, for sure not. No. There's
So in
more at
Vegas,
stake.
in Vegas, there's not that many bottle girls.
Yeah, it's easier to get found out. It's a pretty tight unit. Yeah.
It's a small thing, and a lot of the bottle girls end up with wealthy guys that are powerful, right? So it's and also you have obviously you always have the mafia somewhere in Vegas, in some area. There's a lot of reason not to talk in a country where it's more open. Then you can figure things out easier because you can go talk to her friend, and you can figure it out. In Vegas, I found that it's impossible to figure it out if you don't
Sure,
know
it,
anybody
it,
in the
it
industry.
can ruin that client's career, right?
If you don't know anybody in the industry, if you don't work in those clubs, like someone like me who came over from Thailand who knew
Mm-hmm.
nothing about Vegas. I knew nothing. I don't have any interest in clubs. I never have. My whole life, I've never been interested in clubs. I've never been interested in strip clubs. I'm not interested in paying a girl to be with me. I'm not interested
Gambling?
in parties where there's like a what do you call it? Like a stripper. I've never been interested. I never thought that famous girls had something extra, over
Mm-hmm.
a regular girl. I always look at the girl individually and I see what she has to offer and then what negatives she has. So if she has, let's say she's famous and she's very busy, like I dated this girl who was a singer. She was super clean, but she sang in musicals and she was famous. I saw her as a negative, even though she was really hot and she was really sweet and very pretty and obviously a great singer. But she was not free that much because she was always traveling and everything. So I always look at the girl like, how does it affect my life? Like, I don't care what other people think. It's just like, how does it affect me? And a girl who's super busy is also very, doesn't have much time for me. And she's got other things on her mind. So I'm always looking at it in that sense. And so the strippers and stuff, I mean, there's so many negatives for me. Anybody in this industry is like, it's incredibly negative. And God, you'd have to be a special girl to really break through all this for me. Because I don't get off on this stuff. I don't care.
Mm-hmm.
It
Mm-hmm.
doesn't make me hot.
Mm-hmm.
So it
Well,
has to be.
it's not. I think this kind of stuff can happen to anybody, especially if you haven't had the experience. I think that they put on a good front of I'm just I just work at the supermarket and I'm just this little girl from the countryside bullshit. I
Right,
mean,
right. I actually didn't even know before I went to Vegas. I thought that when I heard that
Mm,
somebody was a cocktail waitress, which when I first
mm,
heard, I
mm,
had been to, obviously I've been to, different casinos in Vegas since I was a kid because we used to drive through Vegas to go to snow skiing to Utah and stuff. And it was kind of
mm.
it's a place you take a break. And my dad liked Vegas, so I knew some things about it, but I thought that I thought that a bottle girl. I didn't even know what bottle girl was, but I thought that that was basically when you walk in, there's the slot machines, and the girl comes up, and if as long as you're gambling, she offers you a free drink.
Yeah, yeah.
That's originally what I thought she did.
Mm.
Believe it or not, that was how like you started out as just thinking she's a stripper. I literally thought she was like working in the clubs as a girl just delivering drinks. Like that's what they do.
Well, well, that's what your brain wants to tell you.
No, 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 no. That was later.
Mm.
That's what I was told. That's what I thought.
Okay. Oh, okay.
No, originally I had no.
That's another key point too. Is friends sometimes meaning well can take you in directions that are not exactly the places you want to be, right?
I had no idea. When I met this girl, I met her, like I said, like you said, I met her through a friend, and I trusted the friend, and I expected the friend would tell me more
Mm,
about her, like what kind of background it is. I just
mm,
assumed she was like a regular, super regular girl, and like super sweet, and like I talked to her, and she seemed very, like very. She was very.
mm.
I had no idea. I didn't even when I heard she was working in a cocktail waitress. I thought to myself, well, I would probably do that too. They probably get some decent tips for walking around
Mhm,
wearing like
mhm.
sexy clothes. But hey, what's the big deal? Like it's fine.
Yeah,
And
yeah, yeah.
I've dated girls who've been even in the porn industry, so I'm not against it. But the difference is it affects the value of the girl. That's the difference for me. Is
Mhm.
it affects the value of the girl. So if the girl is, if the girl is super innocent and loves me, there's a certain level value she has, right? And then if she is war torn, she works as a prostitute for 20 years in Ethiopia.
And
Her
all men are shit. Yeah,
So in the middle, there's
yeah.
always there's a different level, and I think it's the same. This is what dating is we all have values to people, and like as a guy, I have a certain value. If I have a secret, that will also affect my value a lot. Like if I'm covering up the fact that I have let's say a terminal disease, or if I have a something that affects my ability to be a father long term,
Mhm.
that or if I don't, if I'm pretending like I have a bunch of money, like I'm renting expensive cars, and then I don't, these things all affect my value to the girls, right? And so the girls also have these things. And so this is what gets kind of trampled in this whole thing is you don't know, you cannot value where she is to you. And because of the omerta and because of the girls who don't tell you anything and the friends who don't have anything, unless you work in the club, you don't know a single thing about this girl.
Yeah, yeah.
And, I'm not saying the worst. I'm not saying like that girl is like a total whore stripping in the clubs and hooking up with guys in the bathroom. You don't know. That's all I'm saying. And you have no way of knowing. But you know that you've been lied to because you were deceived in the beginning. So then you're like, as a guy, you're like, wait a second, where does the line end? I'm okay with things, but like where can I hang my hat on something real here? Like where is
Well,
the person?
and the other one is like, who is this person? You meet this person, like, which one is which?
Oh, for
Like,
sure.
you're
Yeah, it's like
dealing with like
who
schizophrenia here.
who are they, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Who are
yeah,
they?
yeah.
One bad thing, a bad sign, is if a girl only has friends who also work in the clubs.
Oh God, because they're doing that's like those are made men.
Right. If the girl's friends are all working in the clubs, then
Hmm.
you have to worry that there is nothing else.
You're
There's
you're up against the Sopranos now.
well, no, it's not that. It says that she's never gone beyond that.
Oh, okay, yeah, true. And then they, I think the only hope for these ones, really, is if they get right out of their element, completely out of their element.
Oh, for sure. No, that's true. I agree. They have to move out of the environment. They have to be willing to totally put it all behind them. And
Yeah,
that,
put it all in the garbage can. Throw away that $200,000 a year or whatever they make.
well, it's the same with me. When I left Japan, I left hundreds of girls who were chasing me, and I let them go when I went to China.
Mhm.
And I let the Chinese girls go when I left China. Like when you move, you're saying goodbye. Like the distance creates, So when I make that decision to do something, I'm literally giving it up. I'm letting it go. I'm letting it go. And the thing is, though, is with a lot of these girls, they don't want to let it go. They want to keep it kind of going, right? And that's why they keep you as a secret online. And that's why things are so complicated, because letting it go means completely letting it go. And it means, like, who are they now? Are they a normal girl? Can they just
That yeah, that's I think the hard. It's like it's when you've reached the pinnacle of money making for them,
yeah,
how do you what's next?
right. You've made money in a short period of time, the easiest money. What have you seen? Like, if you could say anything that now you've been in the porn industry, you've been in movies yourself, you've met a lot of people, you produce movies. What is there anything that the girls are like that's unusual that they have in common? Like maybe they all, are very close to their pets, or
Yeah, oh, that's a big one. The pet thing.
well, what is it that
Yeah.
you've seen like that you could say, wait a second, this is like an unusual thing that they all do, and I didn't understand it, and I slowly figured it out. And what do you think they're doing with it? What's really happening? And then describe that. Is there anything that would kind of like give a guy a hint something's going on? Because that's what it's all about. It's like figuring things out faster than the
I
other.
I think one is being far from their family, far away. That's key. Um, getting away from the family, maybe not the greatest communication with their family. I mean, they're on good terms, but it's long distance.
Oh, you mean like moving? So they moved away from the family to do this.
Yeah, 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 yeah,
So
yeah,
the family's
and
not like right there.
yeah, yeah.
Okay, so that's one. Okay, so
That's
they would come
one. Yeah,
Tokyo to the countryside to Tokyo, for example.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Osaka. What
yeah. And
what else have you noticed? Anything, any hobbies, any clothing, any?
they really that's okay. All these normal things like having hobbies, going out with friends, thinking about traveling. Just the normal stuff that normal girls would do or people do. They
Hmm.
don't talk about shit like that. They go into their comfortable apartment or their place that they've got, and that's their recluse, right? And then they go
Oh yeah,
they
okay. No,
yeah,
I
yeah,
know what you're saying.
they
Like
get they
they
get
want to be
into a
alone and they want to just
yeah,
lay around.
they want to close the door and shut the world off, you
Right.
know. And they want to make their own little like recluse, and if their house isn't set up like other people, it's very bland. um it's not doesn't look like a place that they'd really live in. It's more
Like
of an
a hotel
escape.
room.
Yeah, yeah, it's just an escape.
Right.
And then whoever's calling them on their phone all the time, it's usually to do with work, you know. Or maybe they have uh maybe they're a single mom, and the family's taking care of their kid, and they keep trying to get a hold of her. So it's usually work or their family that's calling them. They really don't have any friends like you and me would have. They just have their gang of their thieves. You know what I mean? Just
Yeah.
they're not friends. They're all thieves, right? And then they all talk to each other and maybe hang out with each other, but they're all backstabbing each other behind their backs and stuff.
I noticed that a lot of the girls that were friends of my girlfriend's friends, they tended to have really bad relationships. So they
Yeah,
might have a guy who's like a compulsive gambler, who's got a
yeah,
problem, and then
yeah.
they earn the money and he kind of lives off them. That was a common thing. I don't know if that's a guilt mechanism or if that's they just make bad decisions and they made bad decisions for a long time, or they don't have the self-esteem to find a
Hmm.
guy, or they don't want to start getting honest with themselves. What's your take on that? Did you find that a lot of the girls in the porn industry in Japan have
Hmm.
like normal loving relationships in romance?
No, 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 no. And a lot of them are, a lot of them have some maybe drinking problem or some kind of, some, they have to take something to go to sleep, Um, and then, when they're hanging out with you as the boyfriend, they don't want to go out. They might appease you a few times, but they really don't want to go out. They don't want to go just cruising around, and that's all uncomfortable stuff. They've only got like certain places they want to go.
It's
You
funny
know,
you mentioned that because I was in Vegas for almost 6 months. Not one time did she want to come with me to the strip.
no,
Walk down,
no, no, no,
and it's
no
possible
way.
she wanted to avoid being seen by somebody or whatever. I
Of
don't know.
course, of course, of course, of
Right.
course, of course, man.
Because I wanted to
Like
go to the strip. I mean, I'm not a gambler or anything. But I just it's kind of exciting, and I wanted to go all the time, and she never would take me. We never went
I,
one time.
I wanted to go to just for walks or go to the beach or go to a restaurant or go to a movie. That was always a lot of work, lots of work. I had to like be kicking and screaming to do that stuff, man. Getting laid all the time was fine, but anything outside, like to deal with other people or introducing, people, this is my friend. It was very, very limited. There was not much conversation. Don't let too many new people into their world.
Mm,
They've got a set thing. Their world is those crazy bitches and their boss, and that's it. You know,
mm, right, right.
and their manager or whatever, right?
So
And their
they're
phone is.
afraid. They're afraid. Do you think they're afraid of being seen with you, or they don't want to? They become recluses, or what? What do you think is
Yeah,
actually
yeah.
going on?
I think they become recluses because they can't go out with a. They don't want to be found out that they're with you because that ruins the business, right?
But I'm
Because
talking
then,
about even after the business is over.
oh,
Why
okay,
do you
after it's
think?
over,
Yeah,
well, then it takes a while. They mellow out. Eventually, age catches up with them.
right. And they actually look different, so no one will recognize them anymore.
Sure, but every once in a while they'll say, "Well, so and so is watching me. Did you see that guy? Or this car is following me? Or there's still
But
clients are in the background.
your wife was very famous, so it's going to be different than a girl who worked as a bottle girl. Your wife was like worldwide famous, so.
But they don't know any normal people. That's the thing though. When they're in there like for 10, 15 years, they don't know normal people,
Mm.
right?
Okay, what about this one? What about this one? I noticed this, and I couldn't put a finger on it, but I noticed that there was a real lack of respect for men.
Oh yeah.
Like
Sure, they're
it
stupid.
wasn't anything
Yeah.
to do with me. It was like men in general. Like if men
No.
weren't mentioned, they were always like, let's say there was a conversation about a couple, and
Mm-hmm.
she would say like, well, the girl was very cool and very businesslike and very reasonable. The
Mm-hmm.
guy was kind of a bitch. He was like complaining about stuff. He was the trouble one. He didn't. He was always like negotiating wrong, and he made trouble.
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
luckily, she was there, and she figured it out. But when I actually met those people, I didn't find that to be the case. I didn't find this to be true. Like it was in her mind. I'm not saying the guy was great and the girl was an idiot. I'm just saying like that that kind of I didn't see that at all in real life when I saw the people.
Well, I think they lose respect when they get showered with compliments all the time and free coupons and gifts and and proposals and they really lose respect for men because they think they're stupid. Why are they doing this?
Right. Why are they giving me like, I'm a dorky girl. I'm just a normal, I'm just like my brother, except I'm a girl, you know?
Or
Why?
maybe that they might, don't they see through that I'm put all this, I put all this clothing on. I've made myself up to look hot. Can't you see through this? Yeah, you know.
That's why it's so sad to date a girl, or even to get more serious about a girl who's in this industry, because the baggage that she has from often I just outright hatred of men.
No, I think that's a big one.
It's
Yeah.
not deserved to the guy who is really trying to be serious with her, right?
Oh yeah, and then the other thing too is even when they're out of it for a while, it takes a long time for them to respect anybody. They don't trust anybody. They don't even trust their own kin, their own family.
That's interesting because when I first met this girl, she was saying her husband, she didn't trust him.
Hmm.
Then as time moved on, she didn't trust me. She told me that.
Hmm. Hmm.
And the thing is, it's so odd for me because I've never had a girl say that before.
Hmm.
I've never had a girl say she didn't trust me personally.
Mm.
Never
This
happened.
is this is definitely a big signal. So any of your listeners, if they hear that, they don't trust
Right,
anybody, like they
right,
really
right.
put it out there.
Because the thing is if I was untrustworthy to her, then I would have then I would be like, okay, I understand. But I was like very open and I was very much myself. I mean, part of me, but I don't see any benefit in lying anymore about stuff. Like I gave
Mm,
her, like basically the Ronin Man channel.
mm,
She knew everything about me, right?
mhm,
She literally knew all my stories. And
mhm,
and that was my way. That was my way of opening it up. And I opened the kimono, they call it, right? The reason why I did it, it wasn't because I was proud of it or not proud of it. I didn't want something to sabotage what we were doing because I wanted to have a baby.
yeah,
I wanted to have a baby, and I didn't want my own immaturity or lack of willingness to share something to come up and later bite us in the ass. So that's why I was like, okay, I'll tell you anything. You can listen to everything, And I even hinted when she first found Ronin Man Channel. I hinted at it, and then she found it. But I had been hinting for a while, and finally she found it, And it was my way of saying, like, okay, there it is, right? There it is, ugliness, all my stuff.
yeah,
You know more about me than any other guy you've ever known for a short period of time. And if that's not acceptable, that's fine. Like, I don't want this to come back later. And then it's like, hey, you said you had this, you said you did this, you didn't, right? So that was my way of doing it. But her way was the exact opposite. Exact opposite. Was I'm not going to tell you anything.
mm,
And if anything comes up, you're crazy, kind of thing, right? It's like I'm just doing my best in this world, like fuck off, kind of thing. Like it was
mhm.
really,
Well,
it
it's
was
not about you though. I think she treats all men that way.
right, right. But well, that's the thing though, is like as a guy, you are having to deal with it on an individual level.
Hmm.
So even though she's doing it to everybody, you still have to deal with it. It's difficult, right? It's super difficult, right? Let me get into here, like, let me say this thing here about the girls dating a girl who's a Kabajo, right?
Hmm.
Let's see. So the Kabajo is basically a bottle girl. It's a
Hmm.
girl who's not being paid to have sex. She's being paid to be sexy, right? Um, and let's see here. So they're saying like it's easy for a girl who's in this industry to have sex with a host. A host is a guy who, in Japan and also in Vegas, essentially who runs the girls, who brings in the clients that
Hmm.
they're on commission. I had something. I tell you something really was interesting. This was because I really was innocent. Like I really, as much as I know about life and the world and women, I knew nothing about America, and I knew nothing about the sex industry. I had
Mm,
never ever thought of paying for sex. The whole thing was a complete confusion. But what was super interesting is when we went when I first met her, she took me to the club one night,
hmm.
and I didn't want to go. I told her I don't care. Like I'm not kidding. Like she said, it's all free. We're gonna do a special night. I don't want to say what night. It was a big night of the year, and I said, look, I really don't care. She's like, no, it's gonna be fun. I'm like you're not listening. Like I really don't care. Like I just want to be with you. I don't care. if this is a great club, if it's free, if I'm going to have VIP. Like, I've been to so many clubs without even wanting to go to clubs, just because you have to as friends, and I hate them. I'm not into them. I don't like clubs, And she's like, no, we have to go. And then we went there, and of course I'm with her. And so I don't want to talk to the girls. And to be honest, I had no interest in the girls. I was literally pissed off that I wasn't at my friend's party, because I wanted to be at my friend's party that night. But I got pulled away to go to this thing. So I'm like, okay, what can I do here? Everybody's getting drunk. I don't drink. So I'm like, what can I do? So there was some guys sitting there texting on their phones in the VIP area. So I started to talk to the guys, and I figured I'll figure out like what they're up to. And one of the guys was a little bit talkative, and he started telling me about himself. And it's really noisy, but I could still talk to him, And then I finished, and I thought, okay, I made some friends. I met like 2 or 3 guys that were there, When we left and we drove home, I was super shocked, because she said, that guy is a total scumbag you were talking to. He's a total loser. He ripped me off. He rips everybody off. He's a fucking scumbag. Like, she was like so angry at this guy. And every single guy she was super pissed off at. What I didn't realize, okay, this is my biggest mistake. I didn't put it together, because what she was telling me is that she is in an industry where it's very cutthroat, where everybody steals from everybody. She steals from those guys, and they steal from her, and nobody can be trusted. She was telling me, when she was saying those guys, she was talking about herself. So that's what I didn't understand. So it's kind of like if I say to you, if you say, you're Canadian, I'm American. If I say, look, John, Americans are scumbags. They're not honest. That's why I like you, because you're Canadian. You can pretty quickly say, wait a second, this guy's telling me about himself, right? And it's the same if I say, like, foreigners in Japan are all idiots, they're stupid, they're dishonest, and then somebody just doesn't take too long to figure out that I'm actually embarrassed for myself.
Oh yeah.
Now, I'm not saying she's exactly like the guys, but definitely, if you work in an industry where everybody's ripping you off at all times, you are going to fall to that level, and everybody's lying and everybody's dishonest. That is the environment you're in. Like, I know when I sold electronics in college, at first I was super, super honest, but as I was on commission and I made a lot of money for selling some things and little money making other things, eventually I started to present the things that made the money, and I ended up making more money that way. And I still feel bad about it. I just couldn't be myself because I wouldn't make any money. Like, I'd be fired. I had to fit in, or I was fucked. And as a girl, if let's say some guy is stealing your clients, you got to steal some clients. You have to make money. Otherwise, you're going to be fired. You have targets, right? Everybody's got targets in sales. But she didn't say that about herself. She didn't say, like, this affects everybody. Like, for me, I'm doing things I'm embarrassed of. It's stupid. It was like, those guys are scumbags and the girls are awesome.
Yeah.
Those guys are scumbags, all losers, all fucking total scumbags, and the girls are awesome. They're perfect. They do everything. But the truth is, in any industry, it's just like some girls in a porn movie and there's another guy distributing it. They both are part of the same industry.
Yeah.
And she said one thing. She said one time, she said she loved the high rollers. She used to always talk about the high rollers with a big smile. And then the ones without money, she'd always say they're like losers, or the friends of the high rollers were the hangers on, and they're always mean and they're not nice. And she would always say, like, the top people are always nice and the low people are always scum. The truth is, the top people are the ones who gave her the money, right?
Yeah.
They're the ones who go to these clubs. So
they can do whatever they want.
That's right, because they're paying for it. And so, I shouldn't say whatever. Don't say whatever, because I'm not saying that. I'm not hinting at something that didn't happen. But they definitely got license to do stuff that the other guys could not do, right? And so that I should have known, because I remember she was like absolutely delusional about this. I remember she was saying, like, inside the industry, they're all a bunch of scumbags. Everybody's ripping each other off, but the top guys are awesome. And I couldn't say to her, like, the truth, but I've owned businesses, and sometimes you set up a business. The way you set it up is that the people on the bottom fuck each other over, and that's what you did to get up there. But once you get to the top, you're above it and you ignore it. But the whole
Mm-hmm.
point, it's like having a call center or having a bunch of commission salesmen that 90% are not going to make it. You
Yeah, they're
know,
killing each other. Yeah.
like when I was a headhunter, I knew that 90% of the guys wouldn't make it. And so when I would hire people, I knew that a lot of them, like 90% of the guys, were going to work for me for free. And then the 10% would make a lot of money, and eventually they would steal some of my stuff and go start their own business. I knew that's the way it operated, right? I
Mm-hmm.
pretended like I didn't, and I would be pissed off when they did rip me off or when somebody didn't make it, but I knew the deal. I set it up that way. There was all
Mm-hmm.
these salesmen competing against each other at the bottom, trying to make,
Mm-hmm.
and I knew that most of them wouldn't make it. I knew the ones that did would eventually be more powerful than me or more powerful than the position at my company, and that they would leave. I didn't like it, but that's the way it was, and I knew it. I was very clear with it. What she was doing is she was basically not accepting that. She doesn't realize that these guys, obviously at the top, they know exactly what goes on down to the millimeter in the clubs,
Mm-hmm.
and they set the girls up to play off each other, and hosts to play off the guys, and everybody competing for the money to bring in
Mm-hmm.
more money. Of course they know the whole fucking thing, right? That's the thing. But she was blissfully unaware because the top guys gave her the juice, the bottom guys did not. And I
Mm-hmm.
cannot believe how deeply ingrained it was in her that she could even think that.
Mm. Well, I think that's I think that it's a pretty narrow world, right? So you get stuck in a narrow mindset, and
Yeah,
also the people that she hung around with too, right? Like if they're all like not that bright people, and you're the smartest one of them all. I mean, how are you going to grow, right?
absolutely. 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 You need other people around you to push you. Like you push me and I push you, right?
Mm-hmm.
Things and to challenge ourselves. We always do that. We've always done that.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, if you don't have that
If you're king shit on shit hill, what do you got?
right. If you're the one smart girl at the club who
Mm-hmm.
used to work in finance or something, it's not easy to yeah, you're basically gonna be dealing with idiots and it's
You're
gonna
not going to grow. You're not going to be challenged. You're not going to get any new information. And then you're going to fool yourself into being like thinking you're all that in a bag of chips.
right. Yeah, so let's just say we've gone over a lot of things, and I guess the thing I would say to finish this is that as a guy, you need to know the history, and you have a right to know. As a MGTOW, you probably are not thinking about dating girls, but all these things will help you to think of the past. You know, like things that you were shamed into not asking, or they all matter. They all matter, and eventually you might want to have a baby, and you might want to have a wife, right? So you need to know that you have the right to find this stuff out. You have the
And
right.
sometimes those are two different things,
Sure, sure, sure.
right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think this is one of my theories I've had ever since I was, you know, my 20s. But a woman's femininity really is like a flower, and once that has been crushed, um, her her womanness is kind of gone. Her femininity, her softness, her
Mm-hmm.
what essentially makes her a woman. And I think it's similar to a guy who was in prison who was raped on a regular basis over
Wow. Yeah. Maybe.
because the guy gets out of prison, and of course he can act normal and wear the same clothes and everything, but he's never the same. He's never going
Yeah.
to be the same man that he was
Mm-hmm.
because of what happened to him. Like I'll give you
Great.
an example of guys who get raped in prison. Here's what happens. Like there was a great website called Stop Prison Rape, and my friend sent it to me, and I read a lot of the stories, and one of them was really interesting. They had this guy, and they raped him in prison. What they did,
Mm-hmm.
they took pictures of him sucking their dicks and stuff. Then they sent it to his girlfriend,
Oh.
And then one of the guys who was out of prison, he went over and showed it to her. And then he said, your man is sucking our cocks. That's my dick in
Yeah.
his mouth. And the girl was like, what the fuck, right? And so he fucked the guy's girlfriend, took a picture of her, and then brought it and showed it to the guy in prison. So they totally took over the guy's life and destroyed all his sense of everything. Like, you know, now she doesn't respect him. He doesn't respect himself. He doesn't respect her. He feels torn. Like when he gets out of prison, he's not the same.
It's suicide trip. Yeah.
Yeah, he's completely destroyed. And that's what happens with this stuff. This stuff is very serious. It's very serious for a girl. And that's why girls do so well to protect themselves. And that's what I want to say too, is I have a lot of sympathy for girls.
And, you know, maybe they don't commit suicide, but maybe they don't take care of their body too well. Sure.
There's a lot of things that you can do to slowly kill yourself or to hurt yourself. And I think what somebody needs to do if you're in this industry, I think it's very similar to going to like a 12-step program for an alcohol problem, is that first thing you need to do is come to grips with the reality of how bad it got, instead of like kidding yourself, and start to be honest and take an inventory of where you're at. All the things that you said you're never going to do and you ended up doing, and then to be honest with somebody, and then to you know, make amends, and then to call yourself out. Like you can't just stop drinking and hanging out with all the friends that drink, because it doesn't work, right? You have to change where you live. You have to change where you work. You have to change your friends. You have to be willing to make those hardcore changes and break away from this thing. But what happens with a lot of girls is they stay in Vegas, they stay near this whole industry, and then as they get older, they're going to maybe not have as many offers, but let's face it, there's still that thing, there's still that connection. There's the hangover from this period of time, you know? I remember one time, one of my friends in Shanghai, he worked at the Ritz-Carlton. He called me and he says, look, I got a guy in town. He's a sheik. He's very, very wealthy. And he's looking for a girlfriend. It's called a girlfriend experience. You told me about this. But it was girlfriend experience. And he said, if you know any girls who would like to go out with him, the guy will pay. He doesn't care. $20,000. It doesn't matter. And so I started thinking, like, holy shit, like, who would do this? Like, and I thought, God, almost any girl would do this, you know? If you could make $20,000 for hanging out with a guy for 2 nights and maybe having sex with him, it makes it impossible. And that's the thing with these girls, is it's always there. It's always dragging them back in. It's like, just when I thought I was out, you pulled me back in. You know?
Yeah.
That's the problem with this whole thing, is that once you go in, it's always like there. It's maybe not always there, but it always affects you, right? What do you think about that?
I'm sure there's a chemical rush, you know, there is some kind of thing going on. Sure. I'm sure it's much like addiction.
And also real offers. You know, a lot of MGTOWs talk about girls hitting the wall and not being attractive. That's not the case. I can tell you this, is that there's prostitutes in their 50s working, because some guys like older women. So
yeah, that's the thing. Yeah.
Yeah. The idea that women are over the hill and are never going to do this again, it's not true. It's not true. This is always there for them. And the friends that they have in the industry are always going to be things that
they're going to, they're going to be lurking in the background for sure.
Especially if they live in the same city, right?
Oh, fuck. First thing you got to do is move away.
Right. Totally.
And why would you want to do that? Why would you want to, like, leave, like you had your company, you know? That wasn't too easy, was it?
No. And that's what I often wonder about the girl I did. It's like, I wonder if there is still, I know that if those girls, how close are these old clients still around? And I don't want to read into something and make it real that it wasn't real, but definitely I know that guys don't give up easy. And I know for you, your wife's ex-clients, how long do they stick around?
They still contact. They talk on the phone like high school friends.
How old is she now, and how long ago did they meet her or get into her or whatever? Like, how long is this obsession?
That's at least 20 years.
Okay, that's what I'm talking about, is 20 years. more than 20 years. And
Yeah.
that's what guys don't realize is that these rich guys who liked her, they might even say something to her like, hey, look, um, she might say, hey, look, I'm pregnant.
Hmm.
I don't want to meet you anymore. Or
Yeah.
I'm busy. I have, obviously baby
Hmm.
on the way and this and that. And the guy, if the
Yeah.
guy's smart, he's going to be smooth. He's going to say, hey, look, that's awesome. Congratulations. He might even send a bunch of presents for the baby. And,
Oh yeah.
and then want to meet up for coffee and have a nice conversation. And then
Hmm.
because he knows like in 2 or 3 years, she's going to be back to normal and she's
Hmm.
going to be ready to fuck again or whatever it is that they do.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
he'd say, hey, and she'll be like, oh, thanks for being so nice during that hard time.
Hmm.
But of course, the guy is just trying to keep it going.
Yeah. Oh yeah. 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 Yeah.
And she's trying to keep it going. So it's like this thing, like the only way I think you could date one of these girls is when she's going to be honest and you're going to be willing to listen and be honest with how you feel and like break through this thing because otherwise it's just like, it's kind of this poisonous thing that it follows the whole thing around for the rest of it's not good. And then there's all these problems that you can't put a finger on, but they all go back to this because
Like they don't have normal friends.
right.
And once they start having a couple normal friends,
Yeah.
then they have a blend. And that's what's going on right now. But
Okay.
so once they get a blend going on
Yeah.
where they know a few normal people,
Yeah.
then when that old past creeps up, then it's very brief. It's not a big deal.
So basically they're crowding out their old girls who were in that industry with
Hmm.
new girls that are just normal people.
Or old ladies, like just old people in the neighborhood.
Right. Right.
Yeah. Just
Right.
normal people. Just who cares what their age is.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Neighborly, just become neighborly for Christ's sake. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think a lot of girls too in this industry they tend to be very believe in magical thinking.
Hmm.
A lot of belief in like say crystals or magic or auras or anything because the reason why girls believe in auras, I don't know if you know this, but one of the reasons why girls believe in fate and auras, it traces
Mm.
back to the fact that you can't predict when you're going to get pregnant.
Oh, okay.
So for example, a girl's a normal girl, right? And then, let's just say a normal situation. And then she's dating different guys. And then all of a sudden she meets a guy she doesn't even maybe even like that much, but next thing you know, she finds out she's pregnant. And then she ends up being his girl for decades. And so the girls don't pick the guys, as much as fate picks the girls.
Hmm.
And so every time a girl has sex, she doesn't know if this is going to be her husband because
Right.
it's pregnant. This is the beginning of a relationship. So it's not even her choice. Her body is choosing it, right?
Yeah.
Based on being pregnant. So this is what causes the girls a magical thing because they might really like a guy, but another one gets them pregnant. And
Hmm.
so they end up living with him and being married to him. And then they think, oh,
Right.
I like that guy better, but he never, like somehow
Yeah.
he wasn't there. So men more decide what they're going to do. And they know going to attract this girl, they're going to try to come in or yeah. They make a conscious decision. And so
Yeah. They're
magical.
building a house or something. Yeah.
Yeah, they make a decision to go talk to that girl and to call
Hmm.
her up in a second date and third date. Of course, she might choose him and she might not, and that's the kind of magical part. But in the end, the guy he's the aggressor. He's the one. She's sitting there waiting, and the guys are coming up and talking to her. And then, of course, there's her body who's responding. So I think that's the heart of magical thinking. I think that it comes from the fact that
Mm.
girls can't predict how things are going to go in their life, and so they choose to choose the magical route because it makes more sense. You know,
Hmm. Hmm.
it makes more sense to a girl, but
Yeah. And it's emotional too, right?
emotional. It's out of her control somewhat, and that's kind of the way it is.
Hmm.
But when it comes to that, if you take it too far, what they tend to be magical about everything. So disease and everything is magical. So either good magic or bad magic. So
Horoscopes.
they tend to see things exactly horoscopes, soothsayers, and it becomes like good and bad, black and white. And so this is one of the biggest problems I see with this thing, is that you start to have like, how you feel about somebody is how it is. You know,
It's like dementia or something, man.
it's very strange, because you can have a very nice person who's really trying, but if you feel that they're a bad force or they're evil force, you're going
Yeah.
to hear them and you're going to pick somebody else who supposedly has a good, I know this one guy in Hollywood, and he has this thing about, what does he call it? He calls it, he calls it something. What is it? I can't think. It's basically good vibes and bad vibes. And he takes it totally seriously, and it's just a total scam. It's like he's being scammed by this guy who's a charlatan who's telling him this stuff. I know both of the guys. So guys can get into it too, where they just kind of believe that things happen or don't happen. But the reality is that, of course, there's a lot of luck in life, but most of it is what you decide to do and how you take care of yourself and the decisions you make. And then fate is there. And I guess for guys, the magical thinking is about death, because you don't know when you're going to die. You can't control it. It's similar to pregnancy with a woman, but because when a woman gets pregnant and has a baby, the guy can leave, right? But the girl's stuck. So the pregnancy is magical for both of them, but the guy doesn't have to stay, right? So that's why it's so different for girls. That once that happens, they're stuck with looking at his face for 20 years or 40 years, however long they stay alive, because the baby's face is a reflection of the man that they were with, and his personality and his body and everything, So, it's more permanent, right? So, yeah, well, it's freaking been a great discussion, and really good. Do you have any advice for a guy? Because I think one of the things that guys might say is like, what do you feel about this whole thing? Like, do you feel like you're a fool, you'd never do it again, or do you feel like you would date another porn star?
No.
How do you feel about the whole thing?
I think that it would caution me if I was to pay money for sex. Definitely, it would caution me for that. If I was to, I think that it's actually kind of scared me off of a lot of women. Yeah.
Right. Right.
Sure.
Okay, so you basically learned that it's not worth it. It's not something that you want.
It's not ideal, It's not ideal, but I look at life not just being that. My day has got a lot of stuff in it, and there's still a lot of stuff I got to discover on my own, and I wouldn't recommend it. I wouldn't. If somebody came up to me and said, "Hey, I met a stripper, or I met a porn star, or I'm going out with a bottle girl, or a chick that works in a cabaret," I would go, "What the fuck you doing, man?"
Right. You'd want to educate him on the things,
I think so now that we've shared our stories. I think that would be the best thing to do, is pass it on.
Right. Right.
Maybe just pass it on, your experience. Not be telling people what to do, but hey, do you really want to do this? Because this is what happened to me.
Yeah, here's the long term, things you have to think about. Why add extra baggage?
Yeah. Do you really know what you're getting into?
And
It's kind of like buying a car. Like you buy a really weird car. It's going to cost you more.
I think my thing that I think I would caution guys more than anything is, the thing that really gets me is that when you are in, like, say, bottle girl industry, is your job, okay, is to be fake. Okay, so most of the clients are pretty distasteful. They're usually drunk. They're not on their best behavior, and your job is to be nice to them and to get them to feel comfortable and spend money, right? Now, that is not the job of any other salesman. So a regular salesman, of course, there's the emotional connection and there's you sell yourself, but in the end, you're selling something, like a car or
Mm-hmm.
computer or a business. With this business, there is nothing. You're buying a bottle for $20,000 that should cost $100, and so the other $19,900 is is it's dirty. It's like there's lines crossed all the time. So I would say the guys is your biggest problem is not that they have experience. Okay, your biggest fear is or problem is not that they fucked guys or they got fucked in the clubs or they sucked a guy off in the toilet
Mm-hmm.
or that they cheated on their husband or even that they put up with a lot of stuff and a lot of anger about men or even any of that stuff. The biggest problem is that you are just another client to them, except you're the long-term boyfriend client.
Mm-hmm.
And so you fit into their world as part of this thing.
Yeah.
And other girls in the business, they have their guy who's the dude who fits into their world in this role, right?
Mm-hmm. You're
not yourself. You're not the guy. You're not the guy that you're not just a guy. She's in this industry and you are this client. You're part of the whole system. And so, they're going to stay with you. They're going to pick you for different reasons than you're going to pick her. And it's very dangerous because they're experts at making you feel a certain way.
Oh yeah.
The bottle girls, the good ones, they get a lot more money than the other ones do out of the guys. How do they do? Well, that's the magic. That's the black magic, right?
Mm-hmm.
When I took pictures of my girl, right? This is one thing that was really interesting. I sent it to you. I took pictures of her in regular life, and the pictures were called live photos. So they're 2-second videos, but I never really cared about that. I just take pictures, and then I would just, I have them as live photos, and then I would just post them on Facebook or whatever as pictures. But after we were separate, I went back and I looked at all the pictures that I took of her. And they're actually 2-second videos. So I turned them all into videos and I watched them on my computer. And what was really, really, really insightful was that she would be, let's say, very angry face. And then I would say, like, hey, I'm going to take a picture or whatever. And then she would put on a smile, a very sincere looking smile. And then she would look off and do something like she totally did not give a fuck. And so I had a record in each picture of her fakeness to me. And this is in the time when we were very close together. We were standing on a river in Bangkok in the very beginning of our relationship. When I watched those 2-second videos, it was incredibly heartbreaking because I realized that she had been totally fake with me from the very beginning. She was not gone on me.
Yeah.
She was putting an image out to me for a reason. She wanted something. She wanted something from me. And it wasn't like if I take a video, if I take a video like without telling a girl of, let's say, a girl who's falling in love with me, what often happens is you have a very shy girl who's trying not to pretend like she's so in love with the guy. You know what I mean? Like she's trying to cover up the fact that she's totally gone on this guy because then he'll take advantage of her. So she's trying to be tough. She's trying to she's like, maybe she's like a little bit fake about a few things. Like maybe she's fake about, I don't know, something about liking his food, or maybe she thinks his body's not that great, but she says it. But it's very different than a girl who is, in a sense, is a ghost, is not even there with you. Because the whole idea of her having real feelings and being sincere, it all disappears when you're fake. And that's what this whole industry is. The bottle girl industry is you're fake to the clients, and then where does the line end in your real life?
Well, it's probably, it touches all the other sex that sells industries, even Hollywood itself, these guys in front of in the public, they act a certain way, and they don't, their personalities are screwed up, man.
Yeah, like, and as a guy, you can't trust what they say because they are so professional at making a guy feel good that no
Yeah.
matter how sophisticated you think you are, a really, really, really professional girl is going to be better than you. Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And you're putty in her hands. And then the thing is that that gives a girl a sense of power, which feels good. But in the end, it bites her in the ass because what is needed in a relationship is trust. And what's really funny is she said she didn't trust me.
Mm-hmm.
But if I watch how she was, it's very fake and not trustworthy.
Yeah.
And so I'm guessing that she didn't trust herself. And she knew I was sincerely into her, actually.
Yeah. Yeah.
She knew that. She knew that.
Yeah.
These girls are really smart. They know when you've gone and like, if I look back at my chats with her in the beginning before I liked her,
Mm.
she flirted with me a lot. There's a lot of flirting going on in the chats. Once I
Mm.
was obviously liked her and wanted to have a baby with her, the flirting all stopped. It was
Yeah.
just for a purpose.
Yeah. You're just the seed now.
It was well, the purpose was to get me to fall for her. Once
Yeah.
that was done, the flirting was finished.
Yeah.
And she would only flirt. I think she might flirt if I was going to leave her or something, at the time.
Yeah.
So I think that it becomes like, where is the person and where is the mercenary? And
Mm.
I think that's the biggest problem. I think that's the issue, that if you're dating a girl who is in the sex industry at any level, you have to find out what's real. And that's
Mm.
that part you deserve to know. You don't deserve to know every single detail, unless she's really lied to you, and then it's time to confess. And that is the case. Similar to an affair. If you have an affair when you're married and she finds out about it and you want to fix a relationship, you have to be honest about everything. Where did you fuck? Why did you fuck? Who did it first? What was the key ingredients in that? And then to tell the girl everything so that she can decide how she can stop that, or if she wants to stay with you, right? And the other thing with this girl, this bottle girl, is I found out that she'd been disloyal to every guy she had ever dated.
Mm-hmm.
Because what she had done is she had a boyfriend, and then she would find another guy, start
Mm-hmm.
fucking him. She would kind of semi-leave the guy, but then she would go back to the first guy and then fuck him again. And then
Mm.
the new guy was already gone in and out. And then she would leave him and then go back to the other guy. She called it yo-yoing back and forth. But what it was a Machiavellian way to play the two guys off each other. And it was a very, very mean way to break up a relationship, because instead of just saying, "Hey, look, I need a break. I'm out of here. Like, I'm gonna go out and do my thing. You do your thing." It was always like covering her bases. And I mean, I can see doing it once. Okay, I can see, like, you have a wife, you meet another girl, and you cheat on her and you go with the new girl. But it's very different when you go back and forth 2 or 3 times, right? What you're
Mm-hmm.
doing, you're cheating on the guy, and then you're cheating on the guy, and you're cheating on the guy, and then you're cheating on the guy, and then you're cheating on the guy, and then you're going back to the guy. Finally, you're at your new boyfriend. And that's what she did with each man. And so that is just such a dysfunctional way and terrible way to have to live your life. And it's like there's no trust after that, because you realize that eventually, when she does want to find a new guy, she's just gonna start fucking a new guy. And then to make it worse, she's going to leave him and come back to you. And you're going to be confused. And of course, you won't hear any of this. And then she's going to leave you and go back to him and fuck him. And then she's going to leave him and maybe come back again and then back to him finally. And then she'll go with the new guy. But meanwhile, you've been eviscerated. So maybe this is some kind of anger that she has. I don't know what it is, but
Could be like, hey, yeah, a way of getting back.
it could be power. It could be anger. It could be resentment of guys. It could be whatever it is. I don't know what it is, but I know that as a guy, it's downright terrible. It's like one of the worst things. I mean, it's similar to, like, if you beat a girl and break her bones. I mean, that's like evil, terrible, right?
Yeah, yeah.
She's cowering in the corner. This is the same type of thing. Exact same level of stuff. It's like beating a guy where he's bloody and he's broken bones, but he's got all these invisible injuries, right?
Mm-hmm.
And meanwhile, you can say, "Hey, he wanted it," or "all guys are like that," or whatever. But as a girl who's more emotionally tough than guys, that's what you're doing. You're beating the guy up. You're actually destroying him. And some guys can't bounce back from that, and some guys can. And that's another what is it called? Protective mechanism. You can say, look, that guy was weak. But the truth is, a girl who's beaten in the basement is not weak. She can't leave, and then she gets into this cycle of like of psychoness from the treatment she got. She wasn't like that before, but she was beaten into it, where she's now like completely fucked up, right? And same with a guy, it's like you have to have some mercy and realize that your actions have a different effect on the guys, and that you are powerful, and that you have to respect other people, and that not always getting everything is not always the best for you too, But it requires a whole different kind of thinking, where you're thinking about other things. Is one thing is not having a relationship, being MGTOW. Another thing is having a baby in marriage. But I think that you need to, as a human, you need to have some mercy. You need to have some mercy, because the mercy in the end, it's towards yourself. It's towards
It's a type of forgiveness, yeah.
Yeah, it is. It's an honesty. It's a forgiveness. It's an openness, and it's also ready to move on. Like I don't live the way I lived. I don't fuck 10 girls at once anymore. I don't do that. Anybody listening to this, that's my true experience, but I don't do that anymore. Like I don't do that. Period. I'm not going to do that. Like I'm totally not into it. It's not that I can't do it. It's not that I'm too old. It's not at all. I could do the same thing.
Also, it's not that if other people do that, that's their thing too, right?
Oh, for sure. That's their thing. But the thing is I also now, because I know what all this means, I know that I can't have what I want to have now and do that at the same time.
Sure, yeah.
So if I have a girl, let's say I have a girl like I had before that I loved, and I also had 10 other girlfriends, right, at all times. That girl had very low self-esteem. I don't want a girl with low self-esteem anymore. I like a girl with high self-esteem. That's part of the thing that bothers me about the bottle girl, is that self-esteem comes from within. It doesn't come from bluster. It doesn't come from money. It's part of the, like I said, the bros. It's part of the feminine in yourself, and also with self-confidence comes trust. You trust other people too. You can't have self-confidence and not trust anybody else. It's part of human behavior. It's emotional intelligence. So that's what I think. That's why I don't live that way anymore. It's not that it's wrong. It's that I can't get what I want next out of that. Because now, at this point, I do, and I've talked about it before, and I'm not sure this is going to work out for me, but I do want to have a baby. I'd like to raise a kid. And I'll check my Ronin Man channel, and I'm going to twist it and go into a new direction if this happens. Because I want to be honest with the guys. People listen to this because they want to learn the truth about life, about guys and girls and everything. And I have no desire to cover things up or hide things. But I do have a desire to grow and to try new things. And I don't have fear with being wrong or making a mistake, or there's so much loyalty on the group because they know I'm telling the truth. The guys are like, okay, Ronan's going to do this new thing, fine, whatever, And I don't even know if I'm going to do it because it's a desire. I tried it didn't work, And I realized I don't know if I desire it that much, that I want to keep trying. But I definitely did want it, and I was open to it, and I was very pure heart about it, actually. I was super, super pure. I actually was I put myself in the position of a dumb guy, a 1950s fucking honest guy who's trying to fucking be a good guy and build the woman up. That's actually what I tried. I really wanted to do that. Every fiber of my being was that for the girl. And it didn't work,
The street goes both ways, apparently.
Yeah, and the thing is, there's somebody said to me, karma, and I don't believe in karma. I don't think that there is a God in heaven who's bringing us karma. I think that we do fall into patterns, and I will probably take. I'm going to choose a different girl because I don't know why I chose a bottle girl because I didn't know she was a bottle girl, but I don't know why I chose a girl with a lot of sexual baggage and troubles. I don't know why I did that, but maybe I did it psychologically because I also did have some history, a lot of history, and maybe that was what I was comfortable with. But I can tell you this: I don't want that anymore.
Well, I wouldn't recommend it.
No, I don't want that anymore. I really don't have any desire to have to go through this stuff again. And also, like, life is so short that I do want to end my life on a different note of the way I lived when I was in my 20s. You know, I have a true desire, and if somebody doesn't believe that about me, it doesn't matter because I'm a very decisive person. When I decide to do something, I do it 100%. You know, I'm just like, some people don't believe me when I change my industry. You know, they're like, no, he's still the same. It's like 5 years later, they're like, holy fuck. I remember this girl, I was dating her back in the day. You knew her. Do you remember Cowrie?
I remember the name.
Yeah, so Cowrie, I was dating her, and I was an English teacher. I was like fucking around. I was learning Japanese. I was having fun. I was fucking all these girls. And I met her, and we were dating for a couple of years. And then finally, I said to her one day, I said, I'm going to become a businessman. I'm going to be, basically a high-powered businessman. And she was like, oh, yeah, that's good. It's good. You know, I got my job, and I got into headhunting, and I became quite serious. And she kept trying to get me to meet her all the time. And I said, look, you know, Cowrie, I said, you know, when we were dating before, like, I was not serious at work, so I always had time for you. But now the most I have is like 20 minutes at lunch if you come to my office. And that's all I have. I get home at 3 a.m. I leave for work at 8 o'clock in the morning. I don't have any. And she kept bothering me and kept saying, come on, let's do it. Let's meet. You know, it's a weekend. And I finally had to tell her I was so sad because I did like her. I said, Cowrie, I have to break up because you don't understand me. You don't understand that I've changed, you know? And she was like, she didn't understand. And then 3 months later, she came back to me. She said, I'm so sorry. Like, I really couldn't understand that you changed like so quickly. You just decided to be a successful businessman. And like, here you are, like already kicking ass. And I feel like such an idiot that I couldn't accept you for what you had told me you were becoming. And you did become that. And I sadly had to leave her because not go back together with her because I just felt like she was so rigid and not able to accept me. I thought that's scary, you know, like what's the next thing? Because I change all the time. My opinions change. I'm an artist now as I'm older, making these podcasts and being honest about things. I'm an artist. I'm creating. I'm no longer the businessman. So I go through my shifts. I need girls who can actually believe me and listen to me. And the people like my good friends like you, when I say something, they know I'm fucking serious.
Well, I could tell your tone of your voice, yeah.
They don't know, they might not know why, but it's true, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's the thing I need is I need a girl who can roll with me as I change. And I'm willing to be with a girl who can roll with stuff, but a lot of people, they don't want to really change. They want to cover up who they are. They want to not be honest with people. They don't want to do the things that require change. I know how to change because of all the things I've done in the 12-step programs and all the changes I've made with the different languages in the different countries. I honestly don't think most people understand what personal change really is, like true personal change. You know, if somebody's up to something, I'm down to help them. Like I'm down for somebody who wants to change. I don't care about the path, but I do care about lies, and I do care about someone looking down on me because they think I don't know something and making people out of me, and just generally having low self-esteem because they can't get over something that they're no, man. It's either honesty and breaking through, or it's confusion and going nowhere. You know, really, you know. No ability to change. Same friends, same thing, same city, you know. It's just a new thing. It's just different eras, you know, that I can see like now, like I can look 20 years in the future of this girl and I see like nothing but other friends that used to be bottle girls around, and you know, I see like future children being around this and not being good for them, and I see people lying to themselves, and I see secrets popping up, and I see dishonesty, and I see people seeing behind the curtain, the elephant in the room, and this all is very painful stuff for me, you know?
Yeah, it's too much, man.
It's just so unnecessary, because having a past is one thing, but still having it as your present is a totally different thing, right? And sometimes it doesn't even have to be in your present. The fact that you never renounced it and you never came to grips with it means it's still there. The hurt is
Sure.
still there, the pain is still there, the hiding is still there, the uncomfortableness, the anger is still there, the looking down on people who, like, there's no honesty. Like, part of what I love about like 12-step groups is when you come in, you have this like weird thing where you're either the best person in the world or you're the worst. You know, you hear that so much in 12-step groups. I'm either like the smartest guy in the world or I'm the stupidest. I'm either the nicest guy or I'm the meanest. And it's like what happens when you go through the process of healing and through this whole stuff is that you realize that you're just another person. You're a person with feelings. You're not on the top or the bottom. You're not on the extremes. You're just a normal person with normal feelings. And you have all the sticky things that everybody has. And it's embarrassing. And you're just another person. And then you made mistakes. And then you have faults. And by this, it takes your willingness to look down on people a lot, because you realize you're just one of them. You're just another fucking person. And you can accept yourself and you can accept other people easier. It's all a beautiful thing. But when you keep that up, man, the porcupine, keep away from me, secrets thing is just, it just kills you, it just kills you. Any last thoughts?
No, I think I'm in listening mode here. I think it was important that you let all this out, and it's good. It's good that we can reconnect, even though the distance is far. And hopefully, you get back to Thailand. That'd be kind of cool. That's one of my thoughts.
Yeah, thanks, man. A lot of my friends are really saying that they want me to come back, and I've really thought about what I want to do next and where I want to go. And it's very possible. I'm the last person to know what I'm going to do. Right now in Boston. I'm going to post. I'm going to have some Boston background footage on this thing. We went to the 4th of July party. It was awesome the other day. It was freaking great, and it was really super, super cool. And I'm grateful for my friends, and I'm grateful for this experience, and I'm grateful for the ability to change for myself. And I hope I can keep doing it, And I don't want to go back to Bangkok and be the same person I was.
No, you won't be.
No, I want to come back with a new plan and a new way of thinking about it. It's not that I want to change; it's that I have changed. I want to integrate this into my new plans, because when I went to Bangkok the first time, I just went there because it was cheap. I'm not into whores. I'm not into. Everybody thinks I'm into fucking whores and ladyboys. There's the last thing on my mind. It's the last thing I even want in my life.
Maybe you can start an NPO, save the ladyboys or something.
You got to go back and listen to my NGO episode for that. You got me on that one. But either way, John, thank you so much for being on. It's been fucking awesome, and I also want to say I appreciate so much your friendship through this stuff, because as I dealt with this stuff, you were right there for me. And I was having like hour, 2-hour calls every week. You were the one friend who knew what I was going through. Like, this podcast is not just a podcast. I have you on here for a reason. You dealt with the same kind of hidden things, the secret world, the omerta, the sex industry, at a different level, very different level, but still, it's that same uneasiness where you don't know what's going on and you find the clues out, and each clue you find out is worse than the last.
And even when I don't know, maybe it's just good to just shut up and listen.
Right.
That's we're teaching people how to have a conversation.
Right.
And how to hang in there.
So fucking true, John. Fuck, it's so true.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's it. Thank you very much, and thanks for listening, guys. I know it's been a long one, but this has been a very, very interesting journey, and I hope this. If you're still listening, comment below. I listened to the end. I heard him run and say,
They get a free T-shirt. They get a free T-shirt or something.
Yeah. There's going to be different levels you're going to deal with. Girls who have gone through different things. Be honest with yourself, and go fruitful and multiply, and fucking bone chicks or don't bone chicks or travel or whatever the fuck. Get ready for the next World Conference. It's going to be fucking awesome. Wherever it is, I don't know where it's going to be. I'm planning it now. It's going to be really fucking good. It's like the same camaraderie you're here is like real guys talking to real guys, fucking dealing with real shit, real fucking shit. You got friends if you're listening to this. You got friends. You're in the right place. All right, guys, thanks for listening.